Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome you all to the session. Hello, Manju ma'am. How are you? Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Sonam.
Hi, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sonam ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning. So we will start in the next 1 or 2 minutes. We are expecting many participants to join in. So just wait. And yes, I am also reading through the questions that have been, sent by some of you. So we'll try and see if we can answer those questions as well at the end of the program. So just a couple of minutes and we'll begin. All right, so welcome everyone, and let's begin with our session for today. I welcome everyone on behalf of UP Educators to this wonderful Saturday morning. Yes, I know it's also festival season because, yes, there's Makar Sankranti and Pongal and a lot of things that are happening across our country. But I think we have a good session happening on today. As we have mentioned in our messages, this is the last workshop in the workshop series that we conducted on accelerating employment. We had conducted a workshop resume building in past, I think in somewhere in the month of July. Then we conducted a second workshop on, how do you deliver an effective demo class or an impactful demo class. I think that we did somewhere in the month of October. And this is the last workshop which we are doing, which is the last journey or the final journey to get yourself into your dream job, which is the cracking of interview. So today, our session has an expert as well with us, and I'll definitely introduce that expert who's joined us, and she's a very senior member in the field of education, I will say. And of course, I thought, and our team thought that her inputs will definitely give you a better perspective as to what exactly a school is looking for, when they recruit any candidates for their for any job as a teacher or a coordinator or principal or be whatever. So yes, I hope most of you all know me, but yes, we always have new participants coming in from the Google Certified Educator program, which I don't teach, though I am also a Google Certified trainer, but I teach the Microsoft program at the Up Educators. So about me, I am Sonam, and I've worked in the industry for the last 14 years. I worked as an educator, then became a coordinator, consultant, advisor, and I have been training teachers. Right since I think the last 7, 8 years. I am a Google certified trainer and a Microsoft certified master trainer. And I've trained over 2000 plus educators on digital tools, teaching pedagogies. Of course, my forte is international curriculum because all those 14 years of my career, whichever it is, these are the 14 years have been spent only and only in the international schools. Though not that I do not know about other curriculums, I do know it. But yes, I think the best practices that we have in the international curriculum, I'm sure that will help in any curriculum which I can talk about. And yes, I've been awarded by the British Council as a global teacher accreditation, and I have been also recently awarded by School Edu Excellence as an instructional leadership award. So that's about me. And coming to our expert and our guest, who is Miss Manju Borkar, ma'am. She has been in the field for, of course, many years than 16 years, but for the last 16 years, she has been principal director in a lot of schools in the national education, national curriculums, in international curriculum. So you see, just being a principal and for 16 years is just way a lot of experience that she carries. And of course, there are a lot of parts where she will be giving us an input as to what and how schools look at interviews, how what is an expected response. So today because we've got a lot of these questions from y'all, we've tried and curated the best responses, and she's also given us a lot of inputs in preparing this session. So, definitely the expert advice is definitely going to come into this session. Of course, apart from being a principal, she has certified herself in a lot of areas. She's a life coach, she's a leadership coach, she's also an NLP master trainer. She's a soft skill and a behavior skill trainer. She's internationally certified mindful master practitioner. And of course, there was a huge list which he had given me, but I was wondering that how much will I speak about her, because rather than just speaking about her, I think best would be when we experience how she gives us um I wouldn't say ideal responses, but the correct responses which you should probably speak while you are looking for jobs. Of course, we both are from Mumbai. We worked, I think we've had connections, though we've never had the opportunity to work with each other, but we had some connection even before. And fortunately, she also became one of our student in our program in Up Educators. And that's how we took this connection a little further and thought that why not have Miss Ma'am to be as a part of this program, so that maximum gains is what we want to give it to our teacher community. So I welcome you, Manju ma'am, on behalf of Up Educators, and thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this program. Anything that you would
Thank,
like?
thank you so much. Thanks, Sonam, for such a wonderful introduction. And I mean, it's an honor and privilege to be a part of this workshop, and I hope the participants will benefit. So thank you so much once again.
Definitely, definitely. So the workshop has been made designed in such a way that yes, we'll definitely you know we have picked up certain great questions that you all have given us. I think I've been collecting questions in the last July 2022, and even this before this workshop also we had put up across questions, Manju ma'am, the same. So a lot of more questions have come in. So I've just put it, taken some of them, I've not put it in the presentation, but there are some one or two questions which, we have not been able to incorporate here in our presentation. So maybe those questions at the end, I will just read out, and whatever impromptu to either of us, can, give them an advice. So this is what is the expectation, because we are going to be telling you what is the expectation of the particular person who's asking this, at what intention and what thought is behind that kind of question which is coming. So, that is, if you can understand the thought of a question, you will know what to answer. And of course, we are not telling you, you just fake and answer things, because that also gets very obvious when you make up stories. People experience like us, we really get it, immediately we can, that this person is just trying to make up stories. But when you have genuinely done it, you will be able to answer it correctly. And whatever learnings you get, from now, and if you are somebody who's planning to change the job, and if you think we've spoken about certain practices that, you should have, might as well, have the time, make use of it, apply it. And then when you go for a job in the next 1 or 2 months, do those things and you can talk about it. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप सालों से कर रहे, कोई पूछने नहीं वाला है कि have you been doing it since years? You do it couple of times in your classrooms. Even now, it's not too late, and you will be able to probably talk about it in your interviews. All right. So these are few learning outcomes that we are going to definitely take care of today. One is definitely know what are the common mistakes the teachers make in the job interview. And that's where, Manju ma'am is definitely going to give us a lot of input as to what are the things that, we should as teachers avoid while we go for a job interview. Definitely then the interview questions that we have received and the research that we've done, talking to a lot of principals and a lot of definitely online search, and what y'all have given, we've categorized questions into parts. Okay, so we'll understand what category of questions are usually being asked, and then we will tackle each question, understand why those categories of questions are asked and all of that, and then understand how do you answer these questions. And of course, there are certain miscellaneous or commonly asked questions जो है ना कम से कम एक दो तो उसमें से आते ही आते हैं, आपको पूछेंगे ही. So then how do you prepare for those kind of questions? Yes, we will do that. We will share the recordings of previous sessions and we will keep continuing doing it. So, you don't have to worry. So now let's analyze this situation, and, it's open for everybody. Y'all can, message in the chat box. What do you think about the situation? So this is Miss Shashi, who's working in the state board school for the last 6 years, and she wants to now change her job. She has upskilled herself, by becoming a Guru certified educator, and she prepared a very good resume, okay, because probably she's attended my session and she's taken those clips and, she's prepared her good session. Her resume was selected and then she was called for a demo. And she also has given a very good demo lesson. She used the technology, the people who were observing her lessons, everybody was very impressed by her. Then she was called for a final interview round with the management panel of 5 people. In her demo, she made a very good impression on the principal, and the principal communicated the same with the management that yeah, this person's her qualification are apt, her demo was good and everything. And then the management panel had started quizzing her about various things about her subjects, about her previous job, about her skills, about her achievement. And seeing a large panel, what happened? She got nervous. And though she also had such a good experience, she was still not able to, showcase what she actually was capable of. So though she had a very good experience of working in a school, she could still answer the questions very briefly and was unable to show her capabilities. So what do you think what probably must have happened there? What would have happened to this particular scenario? Her resume was fantastic, her demo was good, but at the interview round, she got nervous, she was not able to, she was able to answer, but very brief answers. She was unable to showcase her, capabilities. What do you think must have happened in this situation? She's not practiced, she's not prepared herself for the interview. Yes, that's obvious, probably. But what could have been the outcome of this situation? Must have gone blank. Not selected. Yes, not selected. Blackout. She would have expected those particular questions rejected. Yes, of course. Yes, she didn't get selected for the job. Now, by this, we definitely have to understand that be it however good your resume is, with a lot of qualifications that you have, with a lot of great experience you have, and you've done the best of the best demos, but you have to understand that the interview is also equally important. Now, people getting selected to the interview round, this is the statistics that we've got from definitely from the internet. Only 20% of the applicants really go to the interview round. And from the interview round, only 10 applicants get selected. So this is very, very important that you need to know. Okay, and there can be many reasons for what you've been, getting rejected. Even if you are really prepared and you have given the best of the answer, but there is something that we will talk at the very end, that is what the feeling that you've given to the participant, to the interviewers, that, no, there is something that is amiss here. What we will talk about definitely at the very end. So this is very, very important, that preparation for your interview is extremely, extremely important. So how much you prepare for your demo lessons, that much should you prepare for your interviews as well. Okay. So now let's understand, I'll over to you, Manju ma'am. What are the common mistakes these teachers end up making while they are in an interview? All right. So over to you, Manju ma'am.
Yeah. What do you feel, all of you? I mean, if you could, it's a request if you could turn your cameras on, because it just appears I'm talking to a blank screen. So it's a humble request, if possible, if you could all turn your cameras on. So what do you feel that if you're not a fresher and if you have an experience of going for an interview, and if you have made a note as what are the common mistakes that you made during the interviews? So if anyone would love to share.
I think you can put it up in the chat, because, it's better so that, we don't have, everybody talking and, taking that time. So please put it up in the chat, as ma'am has asked. What common mistakes either you have got to know from people or you have made yourself while giving an interview?
Okay. All right. So I come back to this question, is the interview mistakes which the teachers make. We would be covering quite a bit I was well prepared. I was well prepared for interview, though I cleared, but I literally forgot some basic questions of my subject matter. Brilliant. Harpreet, this is the common mistake that generally happens. Dinal Sangvi fumbled, okay? Sometimes resume is not updated. Absolutely right. Feeling nervous. Right. Madhumita says not thorough.
Thorough with the content related to the subject.
Okay. All right. Panic. Perfect. These are some of the common mistakes that we make. So that is what today we are going to learn is that how are we going to overcome these mistakes. So first, let's cover the mistakes that we make during the interview. Generally, what happens is, one, you're nervous. Now, suppose I'm sitting like this, there is a table, right? My hands, what I do is I'll clinch it and I'll put it down and the sign of nervousness. All right. You feel that the panel is not noticing this. But if you look at my shoulder, even if I'm going to do this, you look at my shoulder, you look at my facial expressions, right? You look at my body language, it's very evident. All right. So this is one of the things that we need to be very careful about is that sign of nervousness. And what we feel is that the panel is not observing, but the panel observes everything. If it's one-on-one, that person will also observe. And if you have around 5 to 6 people on the panel, they all will observe. Now I will tell you the few mistakes that I observe when the teacher comes for an interview. First, I will observe is her body language. So how she walks into my cabin, all right? Whether she has a very casual attitude or she has a very formal attitude. So that's something, that's the first thing that they will observe. That is, how do you walk into the room or in the conference room or wherever the interview is conducted. That is one thing. Second is, how are you dressed? That is something which is very important, right? Now, when we sit on the table, if you're carrying a plastic bag which makes a lot of sound and you remove your resume, that clearly indicates that you're not well prepared. That's the biggest mistake that one makes. So it's always better that you have your portfolio in your hand like this. So when you walk in, your body language needs to be quite stiff and just hold this portfolio in your hand. Okay? Don't just sit. You know, people go, they'll drag the chair and then they sit. Wait, the panelist will definitely tell you, like, have a seat. That's the time. Very gentle, without making any sound, sit. And sit in a very comfortable manner. Sit upright. Body language cannot be slouched. So sit upright, you know. Second thing, I never select teachers who keep their hand on the table. All right. So this is something which you need to remember. You know, there are some of the participants, they will come and they will keep their hand, folded arms on the table. That clearly indicates that, look, that's a defensive mode. I know everything. So that's one thing which you need to take care of. Okay. Second is name. Okay. If I call Sonam Sonal, I'll say, thank you so much, Miss Sonal. That doesn't go well. So you need to be very careful with the names, whoever is on the panelist. Now, it is up to you, either you addressing them as Sir, ma'am, or I'm addressing as Miss Sonam. Okay. Or Miss Madhu, or Miss Jyoti. Right? So that's something which you need to be very careful about. Second is getting emotional. There are a lot of people who will, you know, start crying. Like, I can cite one example. Like, one of the teacher, she came very confident and we just asked her for an ad hoc, you know, impromptu demonstration. And she started, and when she was giving the demo, she just started crying. She got so emotional. And so these things don't go very well because the teacher profile is a very dynamic profile, right? You can't get emotional. You need to be strong enough to stand to handle so many domains. So you can't get emotional. Another mistake is always be very precise to the question that's been asked. What we try to do is, if there is a certain question where we don't know the answer, we will tell the entire story. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to escape that question, but we are trying to answer in an elaborate manner. Basically, you're trying to guard yourself that, look, I'm able to answer. But the panelist very well knows that you have basically drifted from the question that was asked. वो हमको बोलते थे ना स्कूल टाइम में कि लिखो, you know, पेपर पे लिखते रहो, आंसर आता ही नहीं आता है, लिखते रहो, एग्जामिनर दे देगा. So that gets into a pattern form, but that doesn't work where the interview is concerned. So we need to be very, very careful. If they are asking you about your family background, so you need to speak only about your family background. You can't get into a passion. You can't get into, you know, your ancestral history. So be very precise, right? So there are a couple of questions which we will be covering in the next slides. So that's the time I'll speak more about it.
Manju ma'am, there is a question on the one, you know, if you don't know an answer to a question, what to do at that time?
Yes, that I asked because
Yeah.
what she said was exactly true. That we do made up stories, and
Right.
we do make up stories, and then land up nowhere. And then I only know that they will not select me.
Right. See, again,
So
Dina, keeping this in mind, I hope I've pronounced your name well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So always remember one thing. Whenever we go for an interview, always have a mindset that I am selected. Okay. The positive affirmations work. So, sometimes during the process of an interview, we feel that, yes, I know I'm gone wrong and I'm not going to get selected. Okay. So what happens is we mess around with the interview because that is where your facial expression itself will convey that, look, I'm giving up. Correct. So don't do that. Put up that cosmetic expression. I'm still confident. I know I goofed up this question, but I'm very confident. See, that works. Understand that the people who are on the panel, we are not concerned about, to the point answer. Remember, we can always understand that your knowledge based can also go for a toss, right? So it's because we understand that at this point in time, nervousness definitely crops in. Correct. So don't worry on those things. There are a lot of other things that we observe is the confidence, the eye contact, how is she talking? Does she has a leadership skills? Will she be an asset to the organization? Will she stay around or she is going to keep changing? Getting my point? So asking when they drill you, okay, and when they try to grill you with too many questions, they do that just to understand as per their needs of the organization. All right. So if you could share the question that they asked you where you felt that you couldn't
Ma'am,
answer
is it
and
also okay sometimes, you can say, no, I'm not aware about this. It is, I think, sometimes
you
also
can.
okay to say.
Absolutely, Sonam, because that's something which they feel that you're very honest. The integrity works there, right?
Not really, because you know what, this I have told because I'm very honest, I'm very prompt about the answer. I make stories. It's not like that, but only sometimes. But some organization, like I know that where interest, where you need to speak. कुछ तो बोलना पड़ेगा, वरना वो लोग मुझे select नहीं करेंगे. So I made up a story,
So
but
which
then I know okay, this is
question
not
is that?
appropriate. Okay, so when I said okay to one school where I said कि I'm not aware of this, then how you are going to handle so many children? How will you answer them if you don't know? At that time it's not necessary that you will know everything. I'm like yeah, but definitely I will not know, but I will tell them that I'll get back to you as early as possible. I told her that thing, ki what will be my answer to the children, because you are just right now who I have to deal with the children. So
Right.
what she's telling me, too much honest is not good for the organization as well. Anyways, we'll get back to you. So in spite of taking so many degrees or anything, I really feel that HR, I mean to say the coordinators and everyone, they only feel कि तुम किधर क्या जवाब दोगे बस.
Okay. Now again, I'll
Honestly.
come to yeah. So in the next slide, where Sonam is going to take us through is basically there are three. When you talk about the layout of the entire interview, okay, there has to be a pre-preparation. Right. So when you do the pre-preparation, that is the time you need to visit their website. You need to understand their basic ethics. You need to understand what are their vision and mission. In case if you know somebody from the organization, try and talk to them and find out how is the working culture, how is the environment out here. So that is how your question also needs to be based. So all this we will be covering in the next slide. Like how do we prepare? It's not just, like kal mera interview hai. So, the common thing is the clothes I'll remove, I'll take my resume and you will just go and you're not prepared. So what do we need to do? It's very, very important. So the basic pre-preparation for an interview is very important because you need to translate according to their vision, right? Today, I can have a certain vision. I'll tell you, for me, I have been like very parent friendly, right? Because you need to crown the customer. And who's our customer? The parents, right? So there are many schools, like many international schools, they have an open door policy where they welcome parents, right? So I have been from that setup. Then suddenly I had to come to a setup where the parents were not much entertained, right? So for me, if during the interview, if I say that no, we need to have an open door policy. We need to welcome parents. We need to understand their queries. Correct. Now I'm not translating the answer as per the organization's need, right? So obviously I'm not going to be selected, right? So I need to understand, no, this is a conservative school. This doesn't entertain parents. Okay, everything is on email and everything, they follow protocol. So obviously my question has to align with what the mission and the vision of the organization is. Correct. So that is something which we need to keep in mind, which Sonam will be covering in the next slide. Like, what are the three steps that we need to do during, how do we prepare ourselves for the interview? That is what, lack of research. There's a lot of lack of research. We don't research about the organization. हम लोग क्या हो जाता है कि interview call आया है, we are all pretty happy about the whole thing. I have an interview that has been scheduled next week.
Finally, I got selected.
Right. So these are the few things, Dinal, which you need to keep in mind. Yes, I do understand that when we say that, see, we are never supposed to use one is but, okay? But, you never start your answer with a but. Never ever remove should out of your dictionary.
I will.
Should is considered as a very defensive word. So out of the dictionary, should not be there. Okay. Second thing, whenever we frame our sentences, we are not supposed to say, I don't know. Correct. So you have to say is, I just love this question. I will definitely try and work on it and try to find out more about it, and I'll improve in this area. So your answer has to be positive. I don't know, or, I'm unaware. These kind of words we can't use. Okay. So when you give a very positive reply, you're conveying to them that I'm open for learning. Okay. So that is very important for you to convey.
That is
all right. So these are some of the mistakes which we'll be covering more. So Sonam, you can move to the next.
So yes, I think we've covered all of this. All of this. So I just read out. So lack of definitely elaborate responses, vague responses, avoiding questions, no questions to interviewers. Sometimes, they may say, do you have any question? And you will say, oh, no, I don't have anything. So even, sometimes I wouldn't say that is the, deciding point of not getting selected, but you can always ask. And what can you ask? We've added that. Now incorrect use of language or wrong pronunciation definitely doesn't go well. Getting emotional, I think ma'am has spoken a lot about it. You're not able to show your own capability. So, your brief answers will definitely lack of research about the interview, ma'am spoken. You can't be not feeling confident. And yes, unaware about who will be taking. Please find out who is going to take your interview. Okay. And this is what I had spoken to ma'am also. I learned from my husband. When he has to go for an interview, he will ask and he will go to the LinkedIn profile of the person and research what is this person has the background all about. So if you can also find out about that person, okay, you may ask whoever has, given you the final count that you have an interview schedule. Who is it going to be with? And, try and find out names also. It's okay. You can ask those questions. And if you can find about that person, it will be, helping you in some way. All right. So let's see the process as ma'am said. So there is definitely a process of the interview preparation, and giving the interview is pre-interview preparation. Of course, there is a lot of things, as ma'am said, bag utha ke sirf chale nahi jana hai. You have to prepare, you have to research about the institution, you can research about the person, you can, revise your content, because we've also seen sometimes teachers go wrong in their content also. Wo bhi hoga to we will, we understand in one or two questions, but you can't be not going wrong in all the questions which are, knowledge based or content based. And definitely during the interview, what things you need to take care of, and the post interview follow-up. All right. Now, pre-preparation, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, pre-interview.
Should I put down the points, ma'am?
Yeah, that's okay. So, very, very important. This is something which is very important. All right. Because, generally we feel is that, you're going for an interview, you want to get into the best of the clothes, you will try to figure out what earrings should I wear. Oh, I wear a liner, I'm going to wear this, I'll wear this, you wear this. So what happens is we try to focus more on what am I going to wear and how am I going to do. Very, very important. Be very clear. Okay. Now, suppose if you have applied via Indeed or if you have applied via Naukri.com or any of these portals, first, they mention there that this institute will offer a salary between 1.5 to 2 lakhs or whatever. Okay. So you should be very clear that if I'm applying for this profile, this is the salary that the organization is offering. But what is my expectation? I'll share one example. When I was young, okay, I'm still young, but when I had just entered into the profile of teaching, all right, and I had an interview with the CEO. And जब हम young होते हैं ना, तब हमको like, no, I'm not working for money. ये तो भूल जाओ, इसको तो निकाल दो ये sentence को अपने. We are all working for money. So, I always had this. Oh, no, I'm not working for money. So when I had an interview with the CEO, he asked me what is your salary expectation? So I said, it's okay, sir. Any which ways, I'm not working for money. So pura interview khatam ho gaya, and obviously I was selected. And then he called me inside. And he told me, remember, never ever say this, that you're not working for money. He said, we are all here. We are giving in our time. We are all working here for money. So he said, I have selected you, but remember, never ever say this. Money is very important. Okay. So हम कोई charity थोड़ी ना कर रहे हैं. Right? If you're working in an organization, you're giving your time, your energy, you do so much of research. Teacher's job is not easy. For me, hats off to the teachers. The kind of work that they do, I really appreciate. It's not easy. So remember, one thing is never ever say that I'm not working for money. Okay? ये तो निकाल ही दो अपने दिमाग से. So आपकी salary expectations क्या है? You need to be very clear. Now, I will also cite one more example. हम salary expectations में क्या करते हैं? आजकल ना things change हो गए हैं. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उन लोग आपसे CTC पूछेंगे. तो हमको ना CTC समझ नहीं आता. हमें लगता है ये क्या पूछ रहे हैं? तो हम बोलेंगे monthly I draw around 2 lakh rupees. Then yeah, per CTC is around 24. So what is this? No. Correct. That means you're not sure कि तुम्हारी salary है कितनी. Correct. And remember कि आजकल ज़्यादातर इंटरव्यू में लोग CTC ही पूछते हैं. So अपने calculations बहुत clear करके जाओ. That if I need 2 lakh rupees per month, or as per the teacher's profile, 60,000 rupees or 70,000 rupees per month, multiply it by per annum and keep that figure in your mind. Okay, so you should be very prompt enough to say that this is, if they are asking you CTC, तो फिर 60,000 per month मत बोलना.
हाँ, correct.
Correct. तो CTC ही बोलना, क्योंकि तू आपने अपने माइंड में होमवर्क किया है per month 60 and 12 months में मेरा, हाँ. So, then you will say 60,000 per month and so much per annum. No, they asked you CTC. If they are asking you per month, then you give per month. So your salary expectation has to be very clear. Do your homework very well. So
Ma'am,
they
one
know.
thing I like to add here, which I had also experienced. A lot of teachers have this also when they ask, okay, I have 60,000 in hand. There is nothing as in hand. Okay, you always have to talk about your gross salaries.
Gross salary.
Okay? जो tax कटने वाला है वो कटने ही वाला है, and you have to pay it. So there is nothing that the institute is getting out of it. So you never ask, even at the end when they will get this, okay, this is what sometimes the organization say, okay, we can give you this much. They will ask, is it in hand or is it this? Never consider it is gross.
Yeah.
Never ask in hand thing. Okay. So this, I think I have had experiences a lot in the last 6 years. I think that is a pattern of teachers asking, and hey, in hand nahi hai.
Correct, correct. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. So do your homework very well. Or samajh ke chalna, as Sonam has said, that it is your gross nahi पूछना है. It's
Yeah,
हाँ,
gross
it's
salary,
your
complete.
gross
Yeah.
salary. Correct. It's
Don't
your
ask,
gross
okay, this is my in hand or
salary.
take home
How
salary,
much
like
PF
that.
will be deducted? How
Yeah.
much PF?
वो
How
जो
much is the
कटना है, that
management
will
share?
will get deducted. You can't be asking how much will it be deducted, how much tax you will deduct.
Correct. Okay. So this is your salary expectation. So I hope I'm clear that be very clear and always remember that whatever is your tax deduction, all that they will divert you once your appointed is to the accounts team. Okay. So these questions never come during the interview. Interview is only your salary. आपको एक बार appointment letter मिलता है तो उसमें आपको उसका पूरा breakup mention होता है. Second is wear a very decent clothes. Now, if I'm going for a national board school, okay, जो CBSE या ICSE है, so obviously I will not wear a formal, I'll not wear a blazer or I'll not wear a trousers and a shirt and go, depending upon my research. जो मैंने उनके वेबसाइट पे देखा है कि प्रिंसिपल क्या पहनती है, टीचर्स क्या पहन रहे हैं, सो वो मैंने मेरा रिसर्च किया है, तो उसके हिसाब से आई विल बी वेयरिंग माय क्लोथ्स. करेक्ट? And always remember to wear a very subtle colors. Don't wear a bright red or, very flashy colors. Be very subtle in your colors. It could be like those pastel colors. Preferably is always white or black. That goes very well and decent, right? Keep that in mind always what you're wearing. Because I'll tell you, there are teachers, who will come for an interview. वैसे dangling earrings पहनते हैं, यहाँ तक जो आ रहे होते हैं, इतने लंबे लंबे earrings पहन के आएंगे. They'll have those nails, big nails with flashy colors, red and purple. And वो flaunt करते ही करते हैं. Because, if today, if I'll also have, I'll use more of my hands because I want to flaunt my nails. Don't do that. You must be wondering what is ma'am talking. ऐसे थोड़ी कोई करता है इंटरव्यू में, करते हैं. I have experienced it. They really do it. Okay, they'll wear a golden shoe and come. Okay, so remember these don't go well because we are not going for a wedding. हम बोलते हैं ना, जैसा देश वैसा बेस. हम जहां जा रहे हैं हमें वैसे ही ड्रेस अप होना है. So अगर हम इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में जा रहे हैं तो हमें, you must wear a nice black formal trousers. वो wide leg वाला मत पहनो. Wear a nice one which is tapered, narrow ones. Narrow with a nice white shirt. If you want to wear a blazer. If you don't want to wear a blazer, it's nice, but wear a nice, frill. Those, don't wear those kind of things. A nice, simple, formal white shirt or any color shirt, but it has to be very light or a pastel color, not flashy colors. Okay. If I don't know if there are guys in our meeting, if men are there, then you have to ensure that you wear a nice leather belt. Okay, with a nice trousers with proper shirt tuck in, beard to be trimmed. If you don't want to get, no one is there. There is.
Yeah.
We have, no, so nicely clean. I'll tell you, my son. Okay, आजकल तो ये एक ट्रेंड हो गया ना. आजकल तो बच्चों को भी दाढ़ी नहीं निकालनी है. And he's young. I mean, he's just like 25 and he went for an interview. उसको दाढ़ी नहीं निकालनी. And imagine, person like me who's like so particular. So, he nicely, then he checked with the organization. Of course, that's what he did. He checked with the HR, what are the profiles, how they are expecting in the organization. He got it very nicely trimmed. So trim kar lo usko, koi problem nahi hai, lekin don't go with those long beards. That is something which you need to keep in mind. Okay, then the shoe. Now, what people try and do is they will wear a black trousers, they will wear a white shirt, and then they wear a brown shoe. This is for men. Okay, they'll wear a brown shoe. So you also need to keep that in mind. So these are some of your dressing things which you need to keep in mind. Then, आप पता करो, shoes आवाज नहीं करने चाहिए. Tak, So you need to know that. So shoes आवाज नहीं करने चाहिए. तो आप अपने shoes को properly देखो कि नीचे उसके sole है, ताकि वो आवाज नहीं कर रहा है. Preferably, always wear a closed shoe. In our school, wherever I was heading, हमारे ड्रेस की जो पॉलिसीज थी वो ये थी कि क्लोज शू. So they had to wear a closed shoe. No problem. I could definitely understand कि teachers, वो block heels या heels में नहीं काम कर सकते because you need to be very active, with the kids. No problem. Even if you are wearing, those Skechers kinds of shoes, those belly shoes or whatever you're wearing, but please to ensure that it is closed. Second is the nails. या तो आप nail polish लगाओ या आप मत लगाओ, पर वो आधी नहीं होनी चाहिए. So वो आपको ध्यान में रखना है, because all these things matter a lot. अगर पैनल इंटरव्यू है ना, तो एक तो आपका पूरा बॉडी लैंग्वेज ही स्क्रूटनाइज करेगा. Like, what are you wearing? What? Because see, they are all experienced people, and body language speaks volumes. Volumes. Correct? अभी आपके वीडियोस ऑन नहीं है, वरना हम फेस से भी बता सकते हैं, you know, what is there in the mind, whether this person is aggressive, subtle, you know, have a leadership skills, what. So all those things matter a lot. Second, we have already covered this, is उनके वेबसाइट को विजिट करना है, उनके प्रिंसिपल का विजन क्या है, मैनेजमेंट का विजन क्या है. Like in Billabong, they say that Mama, I don't want to go home. Mama, I want to be in school. ऐसे इनका कोई टैगलाइन था. करेक्ट. तो अभी मुझे पता है कि अगर मैं टीचर रोल के लिए अप्लाई कर रही हूँ, सो मुझे ये स्कूल के विजन और मिशन के साथ ही अपना अलाइन करना है. So what am I going? I have to say is that yes, I'm going to be a teacher like this. Ki, you know, the children will love being in school. They will just enjoy being in school because my teaching is going to be so creative. So you understood. I have translated what I wanted to say is as per their vision. Correct. तो वो हमेशा हमें पढ़ना है, पर उनका विजन को बाय हार्ट करके वो ही चीज नहीं बोलनी है, हमको उसके लाइन में बोलनी है. That's why I've used the word translate. Okay. So remember that. And if possible, if you have any friend working or if you know somebody, try and speak to them, understand about the school ka culture, policy and everything. Okay. So this is your pre-interview preparation. If you do this well, half battle won. So this is what you have to keep in mind. All right. Then we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah, ma'am, we have few questions. What if
Sure,
say
sure.
in a new domain or a new location, we don't know probably about the organization, you know, probably you've shifted, migrated to a new city and you don't know about, and people are not ready to discuss. But you know, nowadays, all information about every organization is available on the internet. You have websites like Glassdoor,
Okay.
Indeed, where you can find information. LinkedIn is a very, very important tool which teachers also should start using. You know, if you can build connections with teachers of that organization, you can speak. आपको कोई ना कोई connection मिल जाएगा. You know, maybe second connection, third connection. So you can speak to people, okay, via LinkedIn as well. You know, try to understand. So you will get information about organization and their salary structures from the internet. Then there's one more question: salary expectation after few years of career break. How can we handle this?
So Sophia is asking this
Yeah.
question. Sophia, this is a very good question that you have asked. Sonam, would you like to take this or you want
Yeah.
me to take this?
So see, definitely there's a career break, and you know, schools may want to, you know, take you at a salary lower than what, you know, probably your expectations are, because they may say, okay, aapka salary, you know, these many years you've not worked, and so on and so forth. You will have to, you know, make sure that you tell them about what upgrades you have done during this period. Okay, how have you polished yourself? How have you taken care that you have stayed in touch with your curriculum? Okay, so be it international, CBSE, ICSE, state board, how have you stayed in touch with the curriculum? What is it that you have done to, you know, build your profile, and that you are expecting something which is fair because you have given a kind of demo, and you know, you are very well aware about your concepts and things. So that is the way you will have to handle that. You'll have
Right.
to explain to them that that is a lot of work that you've done on yourself. Okay, so can be certifications, courses, you may have attended workshops, webinars, you know, which have helped you be where you are, and it's making you prepare for you know, whatever is coming in for that job. All right, I think next we'll move on to the next slide.
Archana, I'm sorry, I missed your message. You have said kindly put up the previous slide for a moment. Which slide was that?
It was this one.
Okay.
Maybe I think Archana wanted to take a snapshot.
Ma'am, thank you. Actually, I wanted, you know, the common errors which
Yeah, this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one.
The mistakes,
Yeah.
interview mistakes, right? Archana?
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So Archana is also a principal. Yeah, Archana ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be. Right now, I'm not working, but
Okay.
yeah, it's good to see, you know, like have my own observations when I used to conduct interviews. But it's always better to learn a little more, you know. It's
Yeah.
always better to upgrade.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much, ma'am. I'm really enjoying your session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Sonamji
we have,
and Manjuji, thank you for the explanation. Like for the after the career break, like sometimes no, they say that you are getting only this much, so we will be able to offer only only this much. So in that case, now how do we bargain?
no, see, certain things you may have to talk. Certain things may be like, okay, nahi. See, when you do your salary expectation prep, you have to ensure कि आपकी एक range mind में ready हो. कि I'm okay from this amount to this amount. Okay. If it is going below that amount, of course, you know what your value is. Just don't give in. Okay. Sometimes it's okay. I don't want to take up the job. I just recently did with one organization. I said, I can't be paid so less. What I was being paid like 6 years back. I did not take. There is no need to just give in to a job where you know that you are not going to be because बाद में क्या होता है, you will think, you will start cribbing. I'm doing so much work, but I'm still not getting paid. I'm doing so much work, I'm still not getting paid. So it's rather not better not to take that job and just move on to a next, next interview or next. Okay. And of course, as ma'am said, check what is the, offering of the school पहले से वो सब जगह पर कहाँ से तो online अगर किया है आपने apply, of course you will.
Okay.
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 Now,
Okay.
what are
And
the
sometimes, yeah, sorry,
yeah, I
Sonam,
think
yeah.
ma'am, we should move because we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
got only 40 minutes left and a lot of, so this is going to extend for sure till another 12:30, I think. We have a lot to cover. So yes, we have 3 types of interviews nowadays that are happening. You will have a virtual interview, which can happen, some lot, if you are applying for, even if it's a school, which, you are in a city where the school is in a different city and you can't travel. So they may oblige, nowadays everybody okay to take this virtual interview. Of course, if you are going for any edtechs, there also you may have virtual interviews. Telephonic interviews do happen. Now, this can happen actually even at the beginning when you have just sent across your resume. And the HR or somebody will give you a call, okay, we've received your resume. And they may ask you a couple of questions. Even at that time, maybe you are not prepared, but you still have to be prepared because आपको आपने भेजा है, consider you will get a call. So keep things ready in your mind that what is it there. Definitely, they're not going to ask you, how are you going to align your school's vision to your profile? वो नहीं पूछेंगे. But तब आपका what they will check, how you are confidently being able to talk, because that call is just going to come anytime. ऐसे नहीं, हाँ, hello, क्या कर, अच्छा, I am fine, can you? So, that sound, that's anywhere when you call, you have to remember that you have to talk confidently. And definitely the in-person interview, that definitely happens. Now, depending on the organization, you may have more than one type of interview. Okay. Usually with a lot of organizations, the second type and the third type will happen. You may get a call and they may ask you certain questions. You may be called twice, first to meet just the HR. They want to scrutinize you at that level. Then again, they will call you for the panelists. So that is happening. Certain times, certain organization also have in the interview, they give you questionnaires to fill up questions. Okay, answers, some situation based answer questions are there and things are there. This is apart from your knowledge test. Some organizations also have subject knowledge test. वो अलग है. ये आपके skills पे, आपके behavior, आप situations कैसे manage करते हो उस पे होते हैं. So those questionnaires also can happen, and then definitely there's a panelist of interview. Now we have divided this whole pool of questions that we had got and the research into 3 categories. You may be asked a knowledge-based question, you may be asked a past experience-based question, or you may be asked skill-based question. And then we have a commonly asked questions, which probably don't fit into this, but they are also very important questions because they definitely do come, So now let's understand what are knowledge-based questions. Of course, knowledge-based questions are related to your subject matter. And now, even if what we talk to you right now, we cannot prepare you for knowledge-based questions because that is your knowledge expertise. You have to be good with your subject. आपका subject matter ठीक नहीं है, कोई school नहीं लेगा. You can't be, not knowing things about your subject. Okay. I'm not saying if you are a teacher of a primary, you should be knowing content of the secondary level, but you should have an idea because those are basics of your subject. Okay. Of course, interviews want to test you about your knowledge, because I remember this getting an exam, learning from a panelist who was there in an interview with me. He always made sure he asked knowledge based questions. He will always say कि demo के लिए तो सब prepare होके आते हैं, they'll all be very well, so you ask any question related to that topic demo, they will be able to answer. But apart from that, if I ask questions and if they are able to answer, that person has good, has probably answered. That person has, got information about that subject, because that has happened with us, it has happened with me. Actually, I was interviewing, the demo was fantastic, the interview, the first round was good. I took that teacher to the final round and 2-3 questions on the subject, and the teacher was not able to answer. She started crying, and then for me, for all of us, it was like, sorry, we can't take this teacher, because those were basic questions. I was not the subject, it's not my subject, but I knew answers to those subjects because those are the basic questions of that subject जो हमने शायद स्कूल में पढ़ा है. So it is very important, to know your content well. Of course, apart from that, what else can you do is they are also checking on, they may जानबूझ के ask you a difficult concept. ये concept का explanation दीजिए. Okay. Now, I am a psychology teacher, so मुझे पूछा जाता था, like cognitive psychology is one of the most difficult psychology, to make students understand what is it, what is cognitive psychology. So then I need to prepare कि मेरे subject में कौन से difficult concepts हैं, and prepare करके रख लो पहले से कि ये concepts अगर मुझे पढ़ाने होंगे, तो which are the most easiest method that I can use to teach this concepts. Okay. Some organizations definitely, as I said, do have a written test. So yes, of course, you have to, pass those written tests. And yes, they do also check how can you apply these concepts in your real life. So you should be ready with, such answers. And of course, आपकी teaching में भी होना चाहिए. ये तो सिर्फ interview के लिए नहीं है. आपके teaching में भी, it's very important that, for concepts which are very abstract, you have to tell the students how they are either getting applied in real life or how they can apply in real life. Because every concepts that we are learning somewhere, और नहीं पता है कैसे apply करना है, Google करो, सब चीज का आंसर मिलेगा. Okay. And yes, it's very important. This is something which you can do related to your subjects. Start researching what is it that is happening in the current generation. क्या नया research आ रहा है, क्या कुछ नए books आए हैं मेरे subject related. If you are somebody, you should as teachers read, of course you should read, but what is it that is happening new in my subject? Is it that something which I can pick up and I can use it? Now I am somebody, I watch a lot of movies and I try and relate it to my subject. Okay, movies है, series है, कुछ भी है, और मेरे psychology के लिए बहुत easy है to relate. So I always try and connect, okay, this movie, what I can, pick up from and I can use it in my subject. So that is very important. And it's not necessary कि मुझे research ही पढ़ने. Find out things which are around happening. आपके locally कुछ नया हो रहा है and it can be related to your subject. That's very, very important because those will help you build your answers when you go for interview. Okay. So now these were some of the questions, these are knowledge-based questions. So we've just put in some of the questions which I usually ask. But हमने ये question में भी 2 parts किए हैं. There are certain questions which are conceptual-based questions. So they are called concept-based questions. So question number 1, which is like Fleming's left-hand rule, relations and functions, figures of speech, these are concept-based questions. But there are certain questions which are fact-based. उसमें ज़्यादा आप story नहीं बना सकते हो. Like what do you know about the Berlin Congress? What was Mahatma Gandhi's roles in the freedom struggle? Fact-based. Those questions have probably 5 points. उससे ज़्यादा आप नहीं बोल सकते. But questions which are concept-based, always and always remember, when you explain a Fleming's rule, connect it with an example. Concept-based question have to have either an example of a real life or an application that is already being used in a real life. Agar liver pe question hai, to there are classes of liver, like 1 class, 2 class, 3 class, 4th class. And then where are these things being used in real world? That is very important to explain in a concept-based question. And of course, fact-based, जो है key facts से बता दिया खत्म. उस पे आप ज्यादा story बनाने की जरूरत नहीं. But these questions you have to remember when a concept-based, give examples and explanation, should not just end with explanation of the concept. Okay, coming to the past-based experience. So the past-based experience and the skill-based experience, we have literally given answers. Okay, what should ideally be the answer? I think we do not have much time, so we had actually thought that we'll ask you all to give an answer to some questions, and we'll try and see, but we can give you a better answer to it. But I think we will avoid Manju ma'am now. We'll ourselves we can keep it open in the chat if you want to give an answer to that question. We'll wait for a minute, but I think asking them to respond, we'll see 1 or 2 questions we can do that exercise, but not for the all questions. So yes, we are going to open questions, past-based questions, past experience-based question. You have an opportunity to become that interviewee for that moment. Think of what possible answer. Consider मैं ऐसा बोलूंगी नहीं. Consider that this is a question come to you and how would you answer? We may correct you at that point that this is what you've said right or not said right. But if you do not want to, you feel you may get offended, then don't answer. But if you think you are open to that suggestions from our end, please go ahead. For those questions, I will say it's open to everybody. Okay. Open to everyone who want, okay, chalo, I don't mind answering this question, and I'm okay with also getting corrected. Then only please, do not feel offended, because a good number of people, we are around 55 of us, 57 together with considering the 2 of us. So yes. So past-based questions, of course, there is a reason why these past-based questions are asked. They want to understand. Okay, even if you're a fresher, they may ask you questions related to your internship. What is the kind of work you've done? What was your role in the internship? So interviewers do ask these questions, that, what kind of things have you done? It is very important. आप सब कुछ बोल पाए. Okay, तो ज्यादा लंबा paragraph नहीं बनाना है. We say Cambridge answers. They are to the point. Okay, very precise. So keep your answers very precise, okay? And keep this also prepared. Aisa nahi ke, and these are some of the questions you can definitely prepare on, which we are just going to showcase you. Of course, they also want to check how you've handled challenging situations, that's very important. Ki aap kaise ye handle kar rahe hain, and what were the good processes of your previous organization. Also, sometimes, some schools want to understand that how have certain things being handled in that organization, so they get those understanding from the answers you give. Okay, so I think Manju ma'am, over to you. This is a question a lot of y'all have put up. How do you manage a class? Or sometimes some people have written, how do you manage a naughty student in your class, a rowdy student in your class, a student who is very quiet in your class? So they all come into this category. How do you manage students in your class? So over to you, Manju ma'am.
Yeah. So how do we manage students in the classrooms, right? So Ruby, I'll come to you, to your question that you have asked. Just give me a minute. I'll complete this answer first. So we manage students. See, always remember there are going to be 3 kinds of students in your class. One is going to be below average, average, above average, right? So when we are managing students, I think Sonam, we are explaining right now instead of asking.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Thank you. So what are we doing, right? So these are the 3 levels of kids that we have in the classrooms. Now there are kids who are above average. So what do we do in that case? So we can have an enrichment corner in the classroom. So you can always say that I've, the 3 levels of kids and how do I handle them? So the enrichment corner that has been created, that is for the children who are above average. I'm going a little fast, is above average, so that when they finish their work, they can quickly go to the enrichment corner and solve the higher order thinking papers or can read a story book or something. So that's how we deal with the kids who are above average. The average students, obviously, they connect with you when you're teaching in the classroom. And if it's a below average students, then you need to connect with the counselor and have the intervention of the counselor and deal with it. Then manage students is a very vast question. Okay, one could be is the level of the questions, other could be how you're teaching, right? So when we talk about the teaching part, then you have to say is that, I change the classroom environment. Sometimes I make them sit in a circle. Sometimes we make them sit, I'm in the center, we form a circle. Sometimes it's a semicircle. Then I use a lot of icebreakers. Then I have a lot of innovative teachings. So I try to cater to all the kids of the different level. So that is how is the question. But I have gone in a very elaborated manner, but you will have to cut this down and make it very precise to the answer. Correct? Because managed students could also be the level of the students.
Right.
As per the learners, right? So that is something which you will have to know is how to manage students in the classroom. Building rapport with them is very important. Once you will build a good rapport with the child, you have conquered everything. Your life will become very, very easy in school. So building rapport is very, very important. Okay, so this was about how to manage students in the classroom. So I hope this answer is clear. So shall we move to the next question?
Yes, so we have a question there, is it fair to label the child, students as
No,
average? We are not
no,
labeled. This is
no.
your
You can't do
categorization.
that. Yeah, you can never do that. Never do that. For you, everyone is equal. But as a class teacher, it's imperative for you to know,
Yes.
right? Because you're managing the students, right? So if I know that, Deenal is above average, right? Sonam is below average. So now when I'm teaching a concept that is called as kinetic energy, right? So I need to know how am I going to teach this kinetic energy? If I'm teaching at the level of Deenal, and if I don't cater to Sonam, then obviously Sonam is just going to be lost in the class. So my teaching has to be in such a way. It could be a project based, it could be an audio visual, it could be taking them to a field trip. It could be to couple it with the sports activity. Correct. If I have to teach that there is an equal, for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. So how do I teach that? I can take a ball. I can take them for a PE class. So how am I teaching it? That is how it is. You can't label the child at all. Labeling is not allowed at all. Right. So that is something which you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, so I say actually, ma'am, I think that question came in because we said that categorization that ma'am said, above average, below average, that is for the teacher to be kept in her mind while planning. Okay, that is very important. You should know how your class is made of. What is the kind of class you have? Okay, if you have a class which is a lot of students are with above average skills, you can't be doing the basics and just what the average students like. The class is going to give you trouble in future. They will definitely give you trouble by making noise in the class.
You will also have parents coming up because a lot of time parents have
scenario,
come up.
it's not challenging, my child is getting bored. Those will come in your class. So yes, it's very important that categorization is for you and for your planning, be it the instructional planning or be it your assessments planning or be it whatever. But it is not for, you don't have to put up a chart in your classroom and say these are above average students, below average. And for every subject, it will differ. Because a student English mein bahut acha hai, but that child is not good with mathematics. So it will go from teacher to teacher. And of course, there are a lot of behavioral management tools, which, it works with the lower age group. Okay. It may not work with, 5th and above, but with the pre-primary and the primary, you have these behavioral charts, or you have those charts, which, give them stickers, or you have these online applications also, which are available where you can give points for good behavior, cut marks for, okay, and it is okay to give negative points for a behavior which is, I will not say a bad behavior, a negative behavior, or a behavior which is not appropriate. And always, always, and always remember, when you address the child, you never say you are a bad child. You say what your actions were or what your behavior was is something that I didn't appreciate. Okay, so that is what, and yes, ma'am, jaise bole, the building of rapport. Okay, is very important. And also remember, if you do not have a strong subject knowledge, also you will know that your class is not in your control. Agar aapki knowledge of that subject is good, they will not mess around with you. Okay. I'm not saying you have to be extremely strict as a teacher. You can't be. It doesn't work with students of this generation. Okay. They'll go and complain to the parent and the parent will come running. So it is very important to be democratic in your, classroom approach. But these are definitely some of the tips that we had wanted to give. All right. Okay, next question. What are the teaching methodologies you use? Okay, so there was, just to give you an idea, ma'am, there were a lot of questions in and around this, how can you teach this concept easily? How can how do you teach a child with, no, that the need question is definitely different, but how are your teaching methodologies? What kind of instructional methods you use? So all of this, I think I categorize and put it into this kind of a question, that what are the teaching methodologies you use? Manju ma'am.
Yeah. Ruby, your answer would be answered here, the question that you have asked. Now, teaching methodologies that I use. Now, for example, if I'm just going to use a chalkboard method, then it becomes a very passive teaching, right? And I'll tell you, the concentration span of the child is hardly for, not even for like, say, 3 minutes or 4 minutes, So you need to do something that, there was one teacher when she was teaching chemistry to us. She came and she just put a shoe on the table. And we were like, what is she doing? Right? So I'm not saying that putting a shoe on the table, it was related to the concept that she was teaching. So it became so hilarious and everybody started laughing. That's something that's like an icebreaker. आप अपना concentration हटा रहे हो उनसे. Otherwise, अगर अभी ये जो हम conduct कर रहे हैं 10:30 to 12, अगर हम सिर्फ slides दिखाएंगे without any explanation, you will definitely acknowledge, but you will be daydreaming because you will lose that connect, correct? So the teaching methodologies, और अभी तो इतना कुछ आ गया है. हमारे टाइम पे तो फिर भी सिर्फ chalkboard method ही हुआ करता था और एक हमको science lab में ले जाया करते थे. But there was no technology as such जो अब आ रही है. अब तो, like Ruby was asking a question about, you were asked about how to use computers. Am I right? Apply computer, a playway method. You can. There are those paintbrush. A paintbrush karwa do unko. There are such a lot of things that you can do on the computer, which is so much interactive, and they can learn so much from it. So teaching methodologies में यही है कि आप क्या-क्या use कर रहे हो. Like आप digital use कर रहे हो, आप flip charts use कर रहे हो, but break the monotony. Break the monotony in a sense. आपका जो teaching lesson होता है, उसको break करो. जैसे for example, an English teacher, if she wants to teach a particular concept, she can take them to a library. Correct? Because library is like meant for an English teacher. If a science teacher is teaching them something related to environment, something related to plants, she can teach them in nature. वो उनको बाहर लेके जा सकती है. एक informal setup create कर सकते हो आप garden में या lawn में या कुछ, and then teach them about it. So how are you, having those different teaching methods that you can use to break the monotony? So chalkboard method को हमें break करना है. तो आप audio visual use करो. If you will ask me, audio visual is also becoming very monotonous.
Yes.
because उसमें इतना स्क्रीन टाइम हो रहा है, आप स्क्रीन देख रहे हो, आप प्रोजेक्ट्स कराओ, बच्चों को डिवाइड करो ग्रुप में. जैसे प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन में हमने देखा था कि हमारे माइंड में है कि बिलो एवरेज, एवरेज एंड अबव एवरेज. दैट इज फॉर माय नॉलेज, राइट? सो व्हेन आई एम डूइंग अ प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड, व्हाट आई कैन डू इज आई कैन कंबाइन ऑल ऑफ देम. So all the three type of kids to working together in a group, so how they can learn, right? Yes, Dina is asking some question. If I want to change classes from pre-primary to primary, then what I should cover for interview? I didn't get your question, Reena.
I think she wants to now teach in the pre-primary section. First is your degree will matter, because for a pre-primary, you will be probably an ECC ed. And most schools nowadays, if they want to teach a primary section, they will say, okay, come and do a B.Ed. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that is one of the main criteria. And if you have a B.Ed, then of course you will have to start applying, considering कि मैं fresher हूँ primary में और मुझे उसी तरीके से देखा जाएगा ना, they will try and probably pick me up for that.
Yeah, so that is the best thing if you have done your B.Ed. There are a couple of schools who also take D.Ed teachers for grade 1 and 2.
D.Ed, yeah.
Yeah, so it is the best thing that what you have to do is that you have to say that since I was in the pre-primary, I know their level, so I can map the curriculum to primary level so that their transition is very smooth from the preschool to the primary. Correct. So speak about this, about the transition from the pre-primary to primary will be very smooth. And that's going to work wonders.
Right, right.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the teaching methodology, all of us can nowadays answer because yeah,
Yes,
it's
but
been
of course, it is very important, let's say you have used any method, please give you an example. Okay, just don't say, I take the students to a lab and that's a different method I use. It is very important if you've done a flipped learning, hands-on learning, blended learning, and these are all the modern practices that are happening these days. You have to give an example as to how you've done. So like just what ma'am said, I have a very good example. I had a French teacher in the school where she actually done the same thing. She put the kids into groups of 3s and 4s, and she just gave words. They were I think she had given them adjectives, and she had asked them, draw these adjectives. Okay, so showcase these adjectives in drawing form. Class was print drop silence. Everybody was engaged, and then they had to come and present. So no child, and that class actually had 2 or 3 troublemakers. I knew that class because for that only reason I went into that class, that ye bacche ka bahut complaints aa raha hai. And that
correct.
class, those kids were all engaged. Nobody was making noise. So if
Correct.
you do, and yes, of course, you have to do apply. First time shayad fail bhi jayega aapka. When you try and do some method, fail gaya. Don't give up. These are all proven methods. They do work. You may have to probably re-practice it. Practice karo akele mein wo pura lesson and then go and do it. Okay. Make your instructions clear, because sometimes instructions, if we don't give, that also, makes a lot of problems. So yes, this is what you can definitely do. Ma'am, how do we motivate students?
I think this, so all of you must be knowing how to motivate students. You can have a star chart. Then, जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, teacher of the week. हम कैसे उसको teacher of the, she feels so proud. So star performer. Like nowadays the corporates use those things like star performer. तो ऐसे आप उनको motivate करो, उनको reward करो. You see, always remember as a teacher, reprimand ये सब हटा दो अपने दिमाग से. उनको हमें punish करना है. Yeah, these things don't go well with the students. Nowadays, you have to work as per their psychology. It's very important. So, हम उनको motivate कर सकते हैं by giving them a star chart. फिर उनको class का monitor बना दो वो week के लिए. Give them some extra time for their sports activities. If they like a bonus kind of a thing. So these are kind of things which motivates them. Pre-primary mein, like just now, Ruby was asking, right? It was Ruby or Aditi, Aditi asked the question. So I'm sure, Aditi, you must be giving them a star whenever they, there's a dispersal happening. वो हर pre-primary teacher बैठती है और star बनाती है बच्चों के लिए. And first thing when they see their parent is they don't say hi, hello, they are only showing the star. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. So see, these are like motivators, how you can motivate the kids. और आप अपने class को पहले gauge करो. When you are a class teacher, you should understand what is going to work. अगर हम star किसी को दे रहे हैं और कोई बच्चा बोलेगा every day I get star. Now you know that this particular child is smart enough. He knows क्या है, रोजी तो star मिल रहा है. Change the color of the stars, or give him something else. Instead of a star, give him a moon, give him a sun, give him something, or work something else. Make some उनको art and craft में bookmarks बनवा दो. अगर आपको पता है कि this child loves reading, bookmarks बनवाओ. Like, just now Sonam said about that teacher, English teacher. She did a brilliant task. Like adjectives were made to draw. So how she coupled the teaching. So this is something which is called as an integrated teaching. She was teaching English, but she coupled it with drawing. Correct? So that's what you can do. So these are how you motivate your students. See, these are all creativity. This is something which you're thinking out of the box. So that is how these are the motivators which, you can help motivate students. Star charts, yeah.
And yes, of course, there may be one category of, emotionally, overwhelmed kids because of the family issue and things like that. And it's getting difficult to motivate. Involve your counselors, involve the school counselors, because that is an area which I will not say that you venture in. And I'm not telling you go and find uski family history mein kya chal raha hai. No. But involve somebody who's expert in that to help motivate that child. But the other kids in your class, of course, and definitely sometimes field trips मतलब school के बाहर नहीं, garden में लेके जाओ. That is also a good motivation for them. Okay, today we are doing something else in the class. Gamification is also a very big motivator these days. Kids love it. Tell the child, if you really have, everybody does well, I will give you a task which is going to be a game and it is on this platform. Create that hype and see how they will listen to you. Why not? They will. So we have some questions which are coming, ma'am. I'm just pasting it in my, Word document. After we finish this past experience, we'll take these questions so that, we finish these at least 5, 7 questions at least.
Sure.
Okay. How will you deal with a child with a child with a difficult family background?
See, this is something which is very important. And if in the end, if we get time and if you guys are also okay, if we can extend a bit, I'll share a story with you, which is a little later. Okay. Now, how do we deal with a child with a very difficult background? Here, the counselor's intervention is a must. Because here you work together as a team. You have to understand first, because the counselor is the one who will just come and sit in the class and she keeps observing. Okay. See, there are two kinds of things. One is the teacher refers. Okay. When the teacher is teaching and she feels that this particular child is not paying attention, he's lost, there is some issue. So she refers the child to the counselor. The other is the counselor's intervention. Intervention in the sense, she comes in the class, that's her profile. That's the counselor's profile. That she will random come into the class, sits in every class at the back seat and keep observing the class. And that's how she tries to analyze कि कौन सा बच्चा weak है और उसको मुझे मेरा intervention required है. Okay. So now this is the way the counselor plays a role. One is the teacher and one is the counselor itself. So हमें उसका family background पता करना होता है. Now यहाँ पर जब हम family background बोल रहे हैं, this is exactly what we covered in the previous slide, is the rapport building. Correct? Probably if I'm dealing with a child like Sonam, and I will say कि जब भी देखो ना, Sonam is not ready to talk. And she's always ending up being very defensive. So then, I'll go and tell Deenal, पता है ये जो बच्ची है ना, Sonam, ये जब देखो ना इतनी defensive रहती है, कभी reaction ही नहीं रहता है, इतना straight face रहेगा, ऐसे बोलती है. Deenal will go and tell Jyoti, अरे, in class grade 1, that Sonam is like that. Now what is happening? हमने एक generalized statement, एक generalized conclusive बना दिया कि Sonam is like that, without even knowing what is her background. Correct? So instead of going and telling this around to all the teachers in the staff room, eating, sharing about the children, don't do that. Do a rapport building. Right? So हमें पता चलेगा, okay, Sonam के जो parents हैं ना, they don't give Sonam time. They are so busy. The mother comes, she's always with a straight face, and she tells Sonam, have you done your homework? What did you do in the school today? I hope you were good. Correct. Now the family background plays a very important role. Now I know that I have to deal with a parent like Sonam's parent. So what am I going to do? That's the challenging task, right? If I'm going to be upfront, obviously that parent is going to say, look, I changed the school. I don't want the counselor and a teacher like this. So what I have to do is I have to come to the level of the parent and remember as a teacher to always use a sandwich approach. पहला सब अच्छा बोलो about the child, correct? उसके बाद give the feedback, and उसके बाद again ended with सब अच्छा. That is called as a sandwich approach. Okay, always do that. Say that Sonam is really very good. She's so quiet. She's very attentive in the class. But we have observed that sometimes she gets very lost and she has a very straight face. We try to talk to her. Is there something that's happening from the home front? अब मैंने क्या किया, मैंने open-ended question डाल दिया parent को. Got my point? I didn't put a conclusion. Sonam has a straight face. She doesn't bother to interact. We don't know what's wrong with this child. मैंने ये नहीं किया. मैंने parent को पूछा, is there something from the home front? Now this is an open-ended question. Parent खुद ही बोल देगा आपको. नहीं, actually, हम इतने busy रहते हैं, हमारे पास time नहीं होता, हम इतने बजे आते हैं, फिर, we are so irritated, there's so much of work pressure, blah, 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 blah. So you got the feedback. Now you concluded. All right, I think I have understood more better about her now and about the family. So do you think if we work like this together with Sonam, will that help involve the parent?
Yeah.
And it works wonders. So this is how you have to deal with the child from a difficult background.
Parents
Okay.
who don't want to send for counseling also will be agreeing that, okay, so that I think it's important.
Yeah. So this is how we have to work. So will you be able to give some time where Sonam is concerned so that we work together? They will agree. क्योंकि आप क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पर, आप उनको importance दे रहे हो. अगर आप उनको importance दोगे तो वो 100% आपका सुनेंगे. Correct? So this is how we deal with a child from a very difficult family backgrounds.
This is something which you can definitely use, in your answer, that I use a sandwich approach. This is how I do. But please try this before you, come, so that you are very clear in how you have, made use of this particular approach. Okay. So this is something which you can definitely talk about. Now, how did you teach students with slow learners, dyslexia, special needs, gifted students? ये बहुत सारे questions थे. And yes, of course, this is something very close to me because I have been a special educator. And of course, you're going to have a class which is, mix of all these kind of students. Here, you may need a child who may need a shadow teacher, because probably he is not going to be able to manage with your help, because apart from these, the academic problems, behavioral issues, attention issues and things are there, and which needs intervention. Students with dyslexia, gifted students, of course, this enrichment corner which ma'am said will really help any which ways, because they are the ones who will quickly finish off things. They want to get something more challenging. Of course, your enrichment corners, your higher order worksheets will help. And yes, you will have to work with your special educator. So you will have to say that, okay, I discuss about the child with a special educator, understood the background about the child. I knew this child had difficulty in spelling. So along with the special educator, I kept informing her the kind of spelling error she's been making. And then she started, remediating her on those kind of, rules of spellings hote hai. So, spelling error, she started working on that. For sometimes I did not use red pen to, mark her spelling errors. Those are the things that you will probably have to talk about. And definitely students with special needs also, coming to back to that second question, teaching methodology. The moment you have variations in your teaching methodology, it will also cater to a lot of your special students also. The moment, like the ma'am said, जूता ला के रख दिया, slow learner भी attention देने लगेगा. An attention deficit child will also, get in attention. And of course, with students with special needs, you may have to go one step ahead. Simplified notes is very important. Okay, textbooks बहुत complex होते हैं. So if you can simplify the notes, flow chart बना के दे दिया, mind maps बना के दे दिया, you will have to go that one step forward. But it is, see, one time work. फिर next year वही class को पढ़ाना है, वही उसको पढ़ाना है, आपका सिर्फ resources बन रहा है. So simplify notes, smaller tasks, very important to give them, very small tasks. You may know that a child is attention deficit in my class, nahi attention kar sakta hai. Involve this child, okay, come in front, erase this board for me, okay, these are the books, take them, distribute to the students in the class. After some time, he is, and of course, with this kind of students, you can't be the only one dealing. Okay, you will have to have, so these are the things that you will have to speak, that let's say for example, and of course take an example, let's say for example a slow learner child will definitely need a shadow teacher. So then you have to say, okay, I worked with a shadow teacher, I used to discuss my lesson plans with this shadow teacher beforehand and tell her this is what I'm going to plan for the day and how she can simplify and present it to the child. Apart from that, I also use a lot of technology in my classroom, and this is how you can go on with your answer. So this is what is very important. Agar shadow teacher hai, you collaborate with shadow teacher. Agar special educator, you collaborate with a special educator. Agar gifted child, of course, there you will also be able to do a lot because you will know things at a higher order. So what is it that you can give that child? Complex things. That is what we're going to help you to answer these questions. All right. Next one, apart from teaching, this also does come. What other school activities, events, or responsibility did you take? Very important. And you should take this, okay? No school is just wanting a teacher nowadays. अब सिर्फ आपका काम as a teacher नहीं है, कि आप सिर्फ पढ़ाए, करेक्शन करे, you write, make question papers, correct question papers, give feedback, meet parents. No, this is not what you do, and this is not what you should be doing also. In your own school right now, if you're working, take responsibilities, okay? Take efforts. Now, I have this question which has come to me, that I am changing a domain. I was somewhere else. I want to get into teaching, probably assuming that this person has all the required qualifications to become a teacher. If that is also your scenario, you can take, examples of your previous organization where apart from your work domain, how you've taken additional responsibility. Like I helped in organizing probably a farewell or a Diwali party or whatever. Those are additional responsibility. Okay, and definitely teachers agar school mein hai to bar ke activities hoti hai. All schools nowadays do a lot of activities. Showcase how you have played that important role. Okay, even if you are a fresher, if it's a fresher, tell what you've done in your college time. Like we had celebration, we had festivals, we had events to be organized in the school that we were interning. So how did you take up that role? Okay, भले आपको बहुत छोटा सा role assign किया है, tell what were the highlights of your roles. Okay, let's say for example, I was given responsibility to take care of a particular class ka dance. Okay, show that how you have taken. I ensured that I collaborated with the choreographer. I took the video of the dance. I put up the video in the class, made the students dance, made them practice. I took care of their props. I communicated to the parent how they can get the students to do the practice. ये छोटा सा रोल है, बहुत छोटा रोल है, but how did you do this? This is very important. They are just wanting to listen to this. Okay, they are not, you had to lead, वो वाला चीज नहीं है, जरूरी नहीं है you will always be the leader in a particular activity. But how did you tackle this role? If you can communicate it that, and आप करते हैं, I'm not saying the teachers don't do it. The teachers really will go one step, two steps ahead, but know what exactly you do. So what you can do for those questions, prepare for 2-3 things that you have done majorly in your school and prepare your answers. Okay, this is what unique things I have done for this particular role that I have. Okay. And the last one here is this, what are the best practices of your previous organization? This is also very important. This question is basically trying to get from you that do you know how to appreciate the best things of your previous organization? Okay, because if you can appreciate the good, you will be able to implement the good. So something like, I like the lesson planning practice, that the school had. They had a structure. We were supposed to write in that particular format. That helped me plan my class well. So maybe that practice, or maybe the practice of planning an event. Okay, we had a structure. We had to plan so many days in advance. This is how we would follow. So that is something you will have to identify, that one good thing about that organization. कभी नहीं बोलना कुछ नहीं अच्छा था. That is like really not appreciating your previous organization. Always and always we learn from an organization. You may say, I learned something from one particular individual in the organization. Her practices I really liked. Okay, that when she had to communicate to the parents, she would sit with all the evidences of that child and then talk. Okay, she would ask 10 different teachers about this child from different subjects perspective and then sit in the class. So individual का भी एक कुछ हो सकता है contribution which you can talk about, if not an organization based, but organizations के भी best practices होते ही होते हैं. So that is what you will have to identify, that what is it that was really worthwhile of your organization, how have you used it, and how you can use this, either have you used in a daily life, how have you used in your school life, kuch na kuch. So sometimes it is the organization, the kind of organizations things happen in the organization, that approvals ke liye ek pattern hota hai. You can't break that pattern. It is good. It is a method that you are following. Maybe that I picked up, I used it in my classroom. I trained my students with that method, if they have to plan for some event, how they can do. So give that example, then how you have used or somebody has, helped somebody using. It is going to go, help you for this questions for sure. Now, I have two questions which we've not answered, which I just read out for this category. So sometimes teachers with degrees, yeah, this just happened, are assigned lower grades if they are freshers. Then how should you approach the same? तो आपने शायद MBA किया है, I'm assuming, or maybe you've done a master's, but you're still being asked to teach primary classroom. How do you cater to this issue, ma'am? Manju, ma'am?
See, there is, if you have experience of teaching in the higher grades,
So she
then
said she's a fresher.
she's a fresher.
Yeah.
See, always remember one thing, the grades really don't matter, okay? Like, for example, when I was heading as a principal, I used to go and teach grade 2, right? There are teachers, I deliberately do that, okay? I will assign them grade 10, but I will also give them a primary class. Because otherwise they get into a very rigid mode that I am a secondary teacher. I'm not going to teach primary kids. That doesn't, you're a teacher, right? Grade doesn't matter. You're teaching a subject. Yes, I understand that there are a couple of teachers who are not very good with young kids. They don't know how to handle them. Then it's a different issue. But otherwise, I think it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be having this in your mind that I can't teach the lower grades, right? So that flexibility is very important. Correct. I understand that if you're really not comfortable with the younger kids, younger learners, then there are two things that will be in your mind. One, either I need to refuse this job, or second is just let me give it a try. In case if they agree, I get a job and at least I put my point across. So you can always say, Aditi, you're trying to say something. Was this a question of Aditi? Yeah. Then I was continued in the same class for a time. I continued in the school. As they said, you had experience of primary grades, but how come we have experience of higher or middle grade students? See, always understand the school is very vigilant. They very well know because they keep receiving parent feedback. Now, when I know that Aditi is a very good teacher, she teaches the concept so beautifully. So what they will do in the next year is they will definitely give you one class of the higher grades. They can't switch you completely to the higher grades, right? So suppose if you're teaching in grade 2, they will try and see that how are you teaching in grade 6 or a grade 5, for example. They will definitely give you one class and then they see that how good are you. And that's how you get promoted, right? You can't become a coordinator overnight, right? You can't become a principal overnight. It's always an experience that counts. So that is something that matters. Sonam, you want to say something?
Yeah. So basically, she's also written that she's done her MA literature and all of that. See, I think the degree shouldn't matter. You have to enjoy your teaching. Of course, if you are somebody who's very rigid, then do not take that job. Okay. See, most schools, if you have been with them consistently for like couple of years, and if you have, been able to speak that, okay, I am looking for teaching at the higher grades, they will consider. But आप एक साल करके फिर बोलोगे अभी मुझे next year मिलना चाहिए, no, it may not happen. You will also have to show consistency. You will also have to prove your position. And if you are thinking that, no, I can't teach, don't take the job. Okay, that it can happen that, I can't teach this grade. Don't take the job. Don't force yourself. If let's say chalo 2 saal wohi class de rahe and you are not ready to, then change the job. Nobody is forcing you to just be there. Okay, so it does happen if we apply. Yes, of course, the previous school ka wo log dekhenge, but you can of course talk about that I am qualified and I would want to teach the higher grade. No school is just rigid. Not all schools only look at what your previous qualification is. They may eventually slowly and steadily give. Okay. Yes, of course, it is possible. I think I had two questions, gap ke baad. Of course, it's always possible to, get back to teaching at any position. But as I had replied before, prepare yourself in that period, that you are connected to your topic subjects, your education, you have upgraded yourself, and then go out. Neither, people may not want to really take you in. Of course, that it does happen that, they didn't may not want, but it's okay. You can always get back to your team. I think one more question
This one.
in the chat, which was, ma'am, I'm experience in a corporate leadership, but I'm now planning to shift to, the teaching part. So how do I prepare for the knowledge-based question? Of course, you will have to understand what subject you are planning to, teach. So if she's done a master's in international business, your subjects could be economics, your subjects could be business, your subjects could be, accounting also. So you will have to see which is out of these three you can pick up and start reading books of that grade level. Consider probably I will go and teach in a CBSE, ICC. You have a lot of online resources available, textbooks bhi pure mil jate hain. Start flipping through the textbooks, start understanding what kind of concepts are being, asked or being taught. And then will have to definitely prepare accordingly that, okay, this is what is the, because you have to prepare more than the others. Because this is the time where you have to switch completely to a new career. So you will have to prepare more than the others. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Please put it up in the chat. We will just proceed further to the next set of questions. These are your skill-based questions because we have more questions even after that. So let's finish these and then we have more questions coming at the end. So skill-based questions, of course, they are trying to test the teachers in the situation. How can you handle, technology and those kind of questions. Also, they want to correlate, you mentioned skills in your resume. Okay, leadership stars, creativity stars, or any skills that you've mentioned, organization skills, and you put some stars. They want to see how your resume, what has you to speaking, and how have you done that in your previous organization. Okay, and definitely understanding of technology. Nowadays, all schools will ask you a question here. How well can you use technology? How comfortable are you to use technology? How confident you will feel to use technology? बहुत broad दिया है आपको, that question is very broad. And how would you answer that question? We'll definitely have that question here. Okay. So I think, Manju ma'am, this is your one. I am not.
Yeah. Right. This is something now, if you stay far, you're going to face this, and especially during monsoon. You're coming to school on a crowded bus or a train. Accidentally, you leave behind all your teaching aids in the same commute. How will you impart your lesson in the class? Very important. So I always believe, and I always train my staff to always have a plan B in place. Always. Be it an event, be it anything that they do in school, we always create a plan B. Okay. So plan A of yours is that you had your teaching aids with you, right? And plan B is that you always have something handy about it. Probably if that's the time, if the school has not started, I mean, if the first period, you can immediately give a call to some teacher and say that, look, could you just download this picture from the internet and just keep it ready for me on my table, correct? Or you could tell someone, you could tell the coordinator that, or an administrator for that example, because now you know that all the teachers are in the class. Tell the administrator that in my cupboard, there is a model of the heart that is kept. Could you just get that? Or it's there in the science lab, right? So this is how you will have to immediately think. If I'm teaching heart, what do I do? Do I have a heart model, another model which is kept in the lab, or it's there in my cupboard? Because now the one which I have, this. If there is no model, then can I get a picture? Correct. Or do I have a presentation kept on the drive? That's the best thing because now everything is on Google Drive. So is there a heart presentation? Have I saved it on the Google Drive? You can immediately get in touch with the IT person of the school and say that just keep it ready. I'll be there. So this is how you are going to handle the situation. And this is what you have to answer there. Correct?
So as ma'am said, I had a plan B, and then, you can give, this is what I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Or this is what I will think of doing. Let's say आपके साथ कभी नहीं हुआ. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes this also happens. You have planned an entire class with technology and technology is not working that day. Okay, there's some problem with the server, technology is not working. You will have to think about something which is hands-on, and then you'll have to get the students to do it.
Yeah.
Because the lesson plan is in your head. Okay, that is not going away anywhere. You have planned it somewhere and written it, because that's how you have planned your lesson. So this is what is very important, that always have a plan B.
Plan B in
Okay,
place.
there are two
Yes.
questions which I think that they're definitely getting answered in our last segment, which Mamta is putting up, but I'm still pasting them and putting it in my document. Mamta, we definitely are having these questions in our last segment of commonly asked questions. They do definitely come here. Okay, how confidently do you feel about using technology?
This is something now you all have to be. First is all must have done this certified educator course
No,
from
I'm not sorry, not saying that of course they have to do the certification course, but yes, all of them who are here
all of them
have
have,
either
yeah.
done something with us.
Right.
So that is the reason they have been able to come for this particular program. Now,
Correct.
use that and start making your answers like a math teacher would say, okay, I use Google Earth to teach the concept of area. Okay, or the sway, or you created using sway, so that's for the Microsoft people. You made a class website. So I think everything y'all have learned with us, because that is the group that has come to us, and there is of course something from what you've learned from us can specifically be spoken very clearly, that this is what I used to teach and deliver my lesson. So I think this is one question which all our students of tech up educators will definitely be able to answer. All right, 1 second. I have a lot of questions. All right. Okay, next one. How can a teacher instill interest in her subject among her or her student? Maths boring lagta hai, so how do you, for example, how can you instill interest for a subject in your student? Okay, this is also one of the few questions that we'd receive. How can a teacher, love for that subject? Like, I think my teacher never had she did not get me interested in history and geography. And, my history and geography is really very poor. So I'll honestly say my teacher didn't create that interest for that subject. So what is it that as a teacher can you do? Of course, you will have to do a lot of things. Okay, you can't be definitely teaching just with one method. मैंने सिर्फ videos ही दिखाने पूरे साल. It's not going to work. Hands-on practice, you take field trips. There are virtual field trips that you can connect them to. There are movies that are on subjects, topics and subjects, cartoons, movies. A lot of things is available on the internet for each and every concept. Okay, start reading up. Okay, there is somebody who's written, GK questions kaise answer karne hai, baba. Start reading. As a teacher, you have to read. You have to be updated about things that are happening in and around your country, in and around your world. Get to know, okay? And I'm sure they'll not ask you questions like कौन बनेगा करोड़पति 21वीं सदी में क्या हुआ, वैसा नहीं पूछेंगे. But they GK में what they probably will ask you, the things that are happening in and around, us. So you need to know things that are happening in and around us. Okay, that is very important. And of course, for your subjects, same thing that we said before, know the researches that are happening in your subject, know things that are new in your subject, start sharing that. May not relate to your topics, but tell them. Okay, science teacher, I had actually subscribed to this website, I think Mystery Doug, DOUG. वहां पर है ना एक बहुत interesting videos आते हैं, weekly videos. Okay, why is the color of the water blue? Okay, in the ocean, why do you feel that it is blue? Main history teacher, why can't the history teacher show up things like this? Okay, just to grab the attention of the students. So वैसे सारे videos ढूंढिए which can create interest. Okay, how, let's say for example, history teachers have to talk about pyramids. Show them a video how they were made to work like slaves and create and build, and how in that time they used such an interesting technology which people are still trying to figure out कि how वो pyramids बना रहे हैं. Why we just have to talk and tell, okay, pyramids ऐसे थे, pyramids वो ऐसे दिखे थे, pyramids इनके लिए ही बने थे, वो tomb बनाने के लिए. Why just give those facts? Why let's not go beyond? That will create interest. Okay, मुझे सिर्फ मेरे history का शिवाजी वाला period याद है, because वो मेरी teacher ने interesting बनाया था. The whole of history I don't remember of my own. This is my own experience. I don't remember. Geography, I never remember anything because never did the teacher made it interesting for me. Geography teaches so much of AR content is available. So much. Start using, content which is available. You can even join forums which are available, teacher forums kitne hai Facebook pe. Start reading those. Okay, you have to go beyond thinking that I know everything about my subject. That is, if that is the attitude you have, it will not work. Ma'am, this question for you. How would you handle angry and difficult parents?
Yeah, we did cover this earlier.
Yeah,
First
so
of
maybe
all,
you can just quickly talk about.
yeah, like crown the customer. This is something which you should always remember. And see, whenever we are handling an angry and difficult parents, you have to understand is you can't lose, because what happens is generally you see that the administrator itself is under too much of pressure and then they start getting angry. So it is like if somebody is angry and if you remain your calm and cool, obviously the person is going to settle down, right? First, understand their concern, because it's very important. Nowadays, all are working parent, they're already under too much of pressure. So first, understand what is the problem. See that you can handle the problem and escalate it, probably to the higher authorities, or if you could, try and resolve it. If it is content related or it is admin related, it could be a bus issue. Especially you will find a lot of parents getting very upset where the transport is concerned. कभी वो बच्चे को थोड़ा आगे छोड़ देते हैं, पीछे छोड़ देते हैं, वो सब होता है. So there are a lot of things. So you should always let them vent whatever is there in their mind. So be a good listener. See, always remember, a good quality of a leader is to be a good listener. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम सुनते नहीं हैं. That's not something which we do. और हम सामने वाले को ना आधे में काट देते हैं. So जब हम सामने वाले को आधे में काटते हैं, that's a clear indication that you're not a good listener. So what we try to do is we always try to put our point across, and we are not interested in what another person is saying. So be a good listener, because they must be having a lot of emotions. Okay, stay calm, be a good listener, and see how we can resolve their issue. उनको इतना कंफर्ट दो कि आपका प्रॉब्लम रिजॉल्व हो जाएगा, so that they go smiling. That should be your goal. So that is something. Yes, there are some parents जो आएंगे आपको बहुत थ्रेट करेंगे. आजकल तो मीडिया थ्रेट तो बहुत ही कॉमन है. हम मीडिया में डाल देंगे, हम सोशल मीडिया में डाल देंगे, ये सब. No problem. Keep yourself calm. Yeah, don't let them cross the line. There are a lot of parents, who come in. पहले तो मैं थोड़ा I used to handle it in a different way. But now they used to come and always say, I will withdraw my child from the school. So then you just have to say, आप पूरा बोल दो उनको जो भी है, बट हमें डरना नहीं है, वो भी हमें ध्यान में रखना है. अगर हम डरेंगे तो फिर वो आपके सर पे और चढ़ेंगे. So we should know how to handle it. If you will maintain your calm, you don't have to do anything more than that. So you don't let them cross their line, but definitely learn to handle them in a very amicable manner. Okay.
Of
Next
course,
question.
these questions, we've given certain answers, which, you'll have to definitely customize it to how you manage that situation for sure. Okay. Now, this is, skilled based questions where you have probably put some skills in your, resume, and there you will pick up on one skill and they will say, okay, give an example how you have, approached or, have used this skill. So say, for example, they may say creativity. If you have written as a skill and you've given 4 stars to yourself that I have a good creativity, then take things in your along with you in your, interview, that, okay, I have done this, my lessons were done in this way, pictures, creativity. Show examples, take photographs, take things which you can showcase. Of course, you can't take very huge and bulky stuff, but take videos or photos so that you can show them, okay, this is what I have done. And try and definitely do not, as this is something also we discussed when we did the resume building, that we do not write things which we've not done. So if you say, I am a very good at research and I've given 4 stars, and if just in case there were question that you've mentioned that you are very good with your research, give me an example that you've used this skill. You should be able to talk, maybe related to your subject, that, okay, while I prepare for my subject, I have number of websites that I go to. I do this, I talk about, I try and see what is new happening in my subject, taking in, keeping in mind that topic, you need to devise your answer. And definitely don't fake कि हम ये कर सकते हैं और हमारे पास कुछ है नहीं उसके बारे में बोलने के लिए. Okay, that is very important. How do you assess academic growth? Okay, definitely. All schools have patterns. If you have your own pattern, okay, not necessarily sare school key patterns is what I always tell. When I had also done the demo, I had said the demo, what we were doing, the lesson planning, that also had one area which, you know, can be used as a teacher for a regular purpose also. End of class assessment, okay, like it's also called a plenary, it's also called recaps. बहुत सारे नाम हैं. It's very important if you as a teacher take this, and if you have done this regularly, it will be very easy for you to answer this question, that how do you assess academic growth as a teacher? Because only formatives and summatives should not be your answer. Okay, that हाँ हमारे स्कूल में formatives होते हैं, summatives होते हैं, and फिर उससे हम देखते हैं. No, is my child understanding? That is an academic growth. If is that graph going upper is very important. So with your end of class assessments, you will be able to know that whether the kid has understood, whether the child has, you know, been able to perform well. And then of course, along with that, your formatives and summatives will give you a clear indication that whether the academic growth of the child is moving in the upward direction or not. Okay, so this is very important that you say that you have regular checks, okay, on the child's performance. You have assessments that you take, which are informal assessments. You can use this word. They're also called informal assessments you take, okay, which, you know, you can get an understanding. You do worksheets, okay. This account to things put together, account to that academic growth, that I know that the child is moving towards a particular direction. Okay. And these are some commonly asked questions. We will complete these and then we will, I think, move on to the questions that have come in the chat, because I think we are already at around reaching 12:30. And I think these are all questions which Manju ma'am is going to answer, because these are, you know, those typical questions that do come to you. And of course, ये जो हमने list बनाया उसमें से 2-3 question तो आ ही जाएंगे. So prepare yourself for it beforehand. Okay, they want to understand the person, your aspirations, your plans, you know, what would you like to do 5 years from now and things like that, those questions. And these are advisable that you try and connect it to your past experiences also. So first question, tell me something about yourself or your accomplishments. Yes, Manjuna.
Yeah. So always remember when they any question during the interview where they are asking about yourself and your accomplishment. आप अपने बारे में, मेरा नाम मंजू बोलकर, I'm married, I have 2 boys, ये सब नहीं बोलना है, correct? So वो अभी हम जब you know, there is a very I'll tell you something. During an interview, the first question वो आपको यही बोलेंगे, all right, tell me something about yourself. Now this is an open-ended question. ठीक है, ये ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन आपको इसलिए पूछा जाता है क्योंकि आपको बहुत कुछ बोलना है ना. तो ये जब आप बहुत कुछ बोलते हो ना, ये आपका पूरा पीरियड ऑफ एनालिसिस होता है. वो पैनल आपको पूरा एनालाइज करता है. आपका बॉडी लैंग्वेज, हाउ आर यू टॉकिंग, आर यू मेंटेनिंग एन आई कॉन्टैक्ट. ओके, अभी सपोज मुझे अगर सोनम ने क्वेश्चन पूछा है और पैनल में सेल्वी भी है, ज्योति भी है, रूबी भी है, अर्चना भी है, और मैं सिर्फ सोनम को देख के जवाब दे रही हूँ, वो इनकरेक्ट है. Correct, because it's a panel interview. So when we say panel interview means ये सबका इंटरव्यू है, सब पूछ रहे हैं. तो आप अगर ये क्वेश्चन बोल रहे हो तो आपको सबको देख के बोलना है. So ये आपको याद रखना है with a smile. Okay, now if you can look at me and if I say that I have, now you can see this frown, ये incorrect है. तो हमें ये ऐसे बोलने के समय भी आपके expressions have to be very gentle about yourself. So यहाँ पर आपको, आप सबसे पहले अपना प्रेजेंट बोलो, आप अभी क्या कर रहे हो. ठीक है, सो यू कैन से, यू नो, लाइक I'm doing this right now. Like, for example, if it's me, I'll say, ki, this unprecedented time, I realized that children needed a lot of mental health issues were coming into the picture. So I enrolled myself as a life coach. I did my NLP practitioner course because I wanted to handle kids. So that's my present. Then I'll say that, and I'm basically, education is my passion. I'm an MSc B.Ed. I also did my marketing management because I realized that in school, it is not just confined to academics. It is also that you should be knowing about how to market your school. And I also did my PGDM in HR because I wanted to understand that if the HR in my school, how does they handle, and in case of their absence, if I would have to take care of that role. So I've done that. And my future vision is that I really want to help students and teachers to grow, empower them. I want more leaders. So this is how I have to speak. And my accomplishment. तो मैंने क्या अचीव किया अगर मुझे कहीं अवार्ड मिला है तो like I was awarded as for the best leader or a best principal, ऐसे कुछ भी जो भी आपको awards मिले होंगे आपके इसमें. So remember, ये मत बोलना मेरे घर में ये है मेरा हस्बैंड ये करता है, मेरा बच्चा ये करता है. No, they are not asking. If they want to know about your personal information, then the question will be different. Okay? So ये वापस ये common mistake है कि हम हमारे बारे about yourself में हम अपने घर के बारे में बताते हैं. So that we have to avoid. Next question now. Why do you choose to become a teacher? अगर आपके पास वो पैशन नहीं होगा तो आप कभी टीचर बनना ही नहीं चाहोगे. तो ये सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है कि इट्स माय पैशन. Like, I love teaching. It gives me a lot of pleasure. So that is how you have to say, like, why you wanted to become a teacher. Like when I was very little, when I was in grade 5, मुझे तभी टीचर बनना था. तो मुझे जब सब पूछते थे तो मैं I'll become a teacher because I used to just love watching teacher. तो हम जब भी घर खेलते थे जब हम छोटे थे, मैं टीचर खेलती थी क्योंकि वो मेरा पैशन था. अब ऑब्वियसली मैं वो तो नहीं बोलूंगी, पर मैं ये क्योंकि वो मेरा पैशन है. It got into me that I want to become a teacher. So that is how you have to explain. You love children. You love to interact with children. So all those things will come into why you want to become a teacher.
Maybe
Right?
certain skills you have. I am patient, so I know how to with kids and things like that.
Correct. और वो तो सबसे बड़ा ये स्किल है because आजकल बच्चों को हैंडल करना is a task. Correct. तो अगर आज आपके पास वो इतना अच्छा skill है that you're compassionate, you love children, you can understand them very well, you really want to do something in life for them. So that's why I want to become a teacher. So that's a question. Yeah. Next. Strengths and weaknesses. Again, यहाँ पर भी ना हम ये बड़ा वेग क्वेश्चन है. ये तो मुझे भी कई बार समझता नहीं था इंटरव्यू में. आई एम बीइंग वेरी ऑनेस्ट अबाउट इट. मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि मुझसे मेरे स्ट्रेंथ एंड वीकनेसेस पूछ रहे हैं. कितनी बार तो समझता ही नहीं था कि कोई वीकनेसेस है क्या. तो बोलने के लिए हम बोल देते थे, बट अंडरस्टैंड, एज आई हैड टोल्ड दिस टू अदिति एट द स्टार्ट, कि अगर हम कुछ भी बोलते हैं हमें उसको बहुत पॉजिटिवली बोलना है. अब वीकनेसेस है तो ऑब्वियसली आप उसको बहुत नेगेटिवली बोलोगे. करेक्ट. कि मैं तो बहुत इमोशनल हूँ, मैं तो बहुत सेंसिटिव हूँ, मैं तो 2 मिनट में रो लेती हूँ. हम उसके you have to say is that, over a period of time, I realized that I'm being very emotional where kids are concerned and I'm working on it. You have to say that you're working on it. You're converting your weakness into a strength. ये आपको याद रखना है. ठीक है? So strength तो obviously आप बोलोगे कि आपके strengths क्या है. You have a leadership role. You can see यहाँ पर एक बहुत बड़ा strength as a teacher आपको होना चाहिए that you can work under pressure. You can meet the deadlines. क्योंकि सिलेबस कंप्लीट करना इज द बिगेस्ट प्रेशर ऑन द टीचर. अगर वो टीचर में उतनी हिम्मत नहीं होगी वो डेडलाइंस मीट करने के लिए, तो उसका ब्रेकडाउन हो जाएगा. इसीलिए हमने कहा था कि इंटरव्यू के टाइम इमोशनल नहीं होना है. करेक्ट. सो यू सी हाउ एवरीथिंग ब्लेंड्स टुगेदर. दिस इज बेसिकली योर ट्रेट्स, योर पर्सनालिटी ट्रेट एज अ पर्सन. वो आपके हर ये क्वेश्चन में बॉइल डाउन हो जाएगा. सो दीज आर द थिंग्स व्हिच यू हैव टू रिमेंबर एज योर स्ट्रेंथ. लाइक आई एम अ टीम प्लेयर. तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है बिकॉज आजकल टीचर्स टीम वर्क नहीं कर सकते हैं. सबको आगे बढ़ना है, सबको ऊपर जाना है, एक दूसरे को काटते रहते हैं. सो ऑल दोस थिंग्स शुड नॉट बी देयर. सो आई एम अ वेरी गुड टीम प्लेयर. सो दीज आर माय स्ट्रेंथ्स, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ द क्वेश्चन हैज टू बी आंसर्ड इन अ वेरी पॉजिटिव वे. नाउ व्हाई आर यू लुकिंग फॉर अ जॉब चेंज? अब हमें सबको पता है, या तो हम जॉब चेंज इसलिए देख रहे होंगे कि हमको प्रेशर नहीं बर्दाश्त हो रहा है, या हमको सैलरी नहीं दी जा रही अच्छी, तो अभी मुझे इट्स टाइम लाइक कि मैं कोई और स्कूल में जाऊं. लेकिन हम वो तो नहीं बोलेंगे ना कि मुझसे प्रेशर नहीं बर्दाश्त हो रहा है. सो व्हाई डू आई एम लुकिंग फॉर अ जॉब चेंज? ऑब्वियसली बिकॉज अगर मेरे पास बहुत ज्यादा टैलेंट है और मुझे लग रहा है कि मेरी ग्रोथ यहाँ पर स्टॉप हो रही है, मैं इसके बियॉन्ड ग्रो नहीं हो पा रही हूँ, सो ऑब्वियसली आई विल लुक फॉर एन अपॉर्चुनिटी इन अ स्कूल जहां पर मेरे को ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज ज्यादा हो कि मैं मेरा टैलेंट को शोकेस कर सकूं. ओके, इट इज जस्ट लाइक द अबव एवरेज स्टूडेंट जहां पर आपने उनके लिए एनरिचमेंट कॉर्नर क्रिएट करके रखा था. Correct? It's just like that. I want to grow now. I want to look for, maybe I'm like, I want to now start working in college because I feel I'm that kind of experience and I'm such a good teacher. So for the growth opportunity or for the higher salary, correct? So these are the things that you can answer here. Or you want, like Aditi was saying that she wanted to teach higher grades, correct? And still she was given lower grades. So अगर हमें लग रहा है कि हमें बहुत टाइम तक प्राइमरी में ही रखा जा रहा है, ग्रेड 2-3 दिया जा रहा है और मेरे पास इतना पोटेंशियल है कि मैं हायर ग्रेड्स टीच कर सकती हूँ और मुझे लग रहा है कि यहाँ पर मेरी ग्रोथ स्टैग्नेंट हो गई है, सो ऑब्वियसली आई विल लुक फॉर अ change. Yeah, Sonam, you wanted to add something?
Any genuine reason, sometimes it did happen during the pandemic, and I had heard some of them saying that definitely it may sound negative about your organizer. Like if the organizer not been paying you salary, you mention that. Okay. Though it may sound negative about that previous organization, but it was a very genuine reason why you left. That you have to take care of your family. Some maybe nahi bhi take care of, but you are working for a salary. You should be getting that on time. Okay. Or sometimes genuine reasons of distance and travel. Okay, like for me, that was the major reason why I changed. I was traveling 2 hours and 2 hours to and fro, 4 hours, and that is the reason I shifted. Okay, now no, my child is growing up, I need to give more time, and therefore that is the only reason that I really wanted to chalo take care. I'll look for something which is either work from home or either it's something closer to my house. So that is also genuine reason, and you can talk about these things also.
Yeah. और you have to also keep in mind क्योंकि जॉब चेंज का क्या हो जाता है कि सबको लाइक टीचर चाहिए होती है, तो अगर आपके रेज्यूम में ये होगा ना कि आपने बहुत जल्दी स्कूल्स चेंज किए हैं, तो वो आपके लिए थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लमेटिक वो हो जाता है, बिकॉज उनको लगता है कि फिर ये शायद यहाँ पर भी नहीं रुकेंगे, शी माइट लीव. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड. हाउ डू यू सी योरसेल्फ 5 years from now? ये भी क्वेश्चन बहुत लोगों को समझता नहीं है, इंटरव्यू के समय वो एक सेकंड के लिए सोचते हैं, ब्लैंक हो जाते हैं. सो गो वेरी वेल प्रिपेयर्ड, कि अगर मैं आज टीचर हूँ, ऑब्वियसली आई एम लुकिंग कि मेरे को कोऑर्डिनेटर भी बनना है, I would like to become an examiner, whatever it is, whatever is your vision, you also want to become a principal. Why not? हमें ऐसे लगता है कि कि oh my God, ऐसे मैं कैसे बोलूं, प्रिंसिपल्स तो जनरली सब लाइक एक बार थोड़े ओल्ड हो जाते हैं तब होते हैं. नहीं, ऐसे कुछ नहीं है, राइट? Nowadays the growth levels are very quick.
Yeah, true.
My child was in nursery when I became a principal. So you don't have to think that वो 50 साल के होते हैं इन लोग तब जाके प्रिंसिपल बनते हैं. No, you can have that vision of becoming a principal. You can see that vision, right? So there is nothing wrong in that, क्योंकि वो आपका प्रूव करता है कि आप काफी एम्बिशियस हो. हाँ, 5 years from now अगर आप फ्रेशर और आप बोलोगे प्रिंसिपल बनना है तो वो थोड़ा अजीब हो जाएगा. But if you are having like 10 years of experience as a teacher and they are asking you this question, obviously you would love to become a principal of a school. So you have to mention in all these things in mind कि आप बहुत पॉजिटिवली आपको बोलना है कि I'm looking at myself as a examiner of IGCSE 3 years from now, and the 5th year I'm seeing myself as a whatever, as a principal or as a head teacher or as a coordinator. So because I can take up the responsibility. तो ये आप अपने आप को whatever, you have to align it with your vision. I'm just giving you a hypothetical example, but you have to align it with your vision. आप अपने आप को कहाँ देख रहे हो, ठीक है? या सोना, why do you think you're fit for this job? So why do you think you're fit for this job? करेक्ट. आपने स्कूल का वापस से हमने प्री हिस्ट्री ली है स्कूल के बारे में, हमें पता है कि यहाँ का इंडियंस बहुत अच्छा है, इट्स अ वेरी पॉजिटिव एनवायरनमेंट, एंड आई एम फिट फॉर दिस जॉब बिकॉज मुझे पैशन है. आई कैन ट्रांसलेट एंड अलाइन माई विजन विद द स्कूल्स विजन. आई कैन टेक अप द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज. आई वुड लव टू इंटरैक्ट विद डिफरेंट डोमेन्स लाइक टीचर्स, स्टूडेंट्स. आजकल हम लोग स्टूडेंट्स नहीं बोलते हैं, अगर आप इंटरनेशनल स्कूल्स क्या बोलोगे तो वी हैव टू से लर्नर्स. तो ऑल्सो कीप दैट इन माइंड. अभी ये थोड़ा स्टूडेंट नहीं बोला जाता है, लर्नर्स बोला जाता है. जैसे हमको बीएड में सिखाया जाता है ना कि हम ये नहीं बोलते हैं कि टुडे आई एम गोइंग टू टीच यू, हम ये नहीं बोलते हैं ना, हम ये बोलते हैं कि टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न. मतलब I am also learning with you. I am not teaching you. So that is why we call it as learners. अभी आपने देखा होगा कि केरला में अब उन्होंने जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन भी हटा दिया है. ओके, कल ही था वो न्यूज में कि नाउ दे विल नॉट कॉल सर एंड मैम, अब वो टीचर ही बोलेंगे. करेक्ट, अब वो सर मैम का जेंडर भी नहीं होगा. So that is how it is. So why do you think that you're fit for this job? So आपके माइंड में क्या है? Like, you know, you have interest for the subject, you know, your responsibilities, your leadership skills, so you're fit for this profile. वो आप कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. Like,
Of course,
next.
you have to remember that there is a job description. अगर आपने कहीं पढ़ा है वो रोल का,
Right.
align that to your profile, and
Yeah.
what is it that you can do from these job descriptions that have been mentioned, and that is why you think that you are extremely fit for this job, because you've done these things in your past organization.
Right. और वो Indeed और वो पोर्टल से अगर आप अप्लाई करोगे तो वहां मेंशन भी होता है.
होता ही, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about the time when someone gave you feedback and how you handle it. See, always remember to say that feedback is a positive reinforcement. कभी भी ये याद रखो. अगर आज हमको पेरेंट्स भी अगर आके बोलते हैं कि ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ, फिर वो आपको एंड में बोलेंगे प्लीज डोंट फील बैड, आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू फीडबैक. सो यू ऑलवेज हैव टू से दैट लुक, फीडबैक इज अ पॉजिटिव रीइंफोर्समेंट. क्योंकि अगर आपको फीडबैक नहीं मिलेगा ना, आप कभी भी गुड लीडर नहीं बनोगे, क्योंकि हम मिस्टेक्स कर करके ही तो गुड बनेंगे ना. हाउ विल यू बिकम परफेक्ट? यू विल ओनली बिकम परफेक्ट व्हेन यू गेट फीडबैक. Today, when you will give us a feedback that how we conducted this session, that will be an area for us to improve. Correct? So feedback is always positive. हमें feedback को कभी negative नहीं लेना है. Correct? So tell me about a time when someone gave you a feedback. तो आप यहाँ पे example दे दो कि in the previous organization when I was planning my lessons, so I received the feedback from the head teacher that I could have made these changes or I could have added more, and I did that, and I really realized that that helped me so much that now I'm so good at it and I'm so perfect in planning my lessons. Usko positive mein turn karo. Sandwich approach. Correct? And how you handle that. So that is how this helps. So feedback ko positively lena hai. Salary expectations, we have already covered it, Sonam. So I think this was...
So this is a question which has to be prepared for. Aata hi hai, and you have to prepare for it. Okay?
Yeah. I am not working for money, don't say.
Okay. So, okay, now these are few questions which have been not written answers to, but they are questions that comes in situations. Like if you have changed too many jobs, jaise ma'am ne bola, okay, if there is a gap in your career, I think a lot of some of them have a, and if you are somewhere, either you are in an age closer to the marriage, or if you have married closer to probably thinking that you will have a child or something, they may ask you this question that when do you plan to get married, or are you planning to have a child? Okay, of course you may be planning and you may say, but you have to also say that that's not going to affect my career. I'm going to keep working and I'm going to continue being with this organization. That's what they're just looking for. Okay, na? ये छोड़ के नहीं भाग जाने वाले ना, like because the schools are also investing their trainings and things like that. They don't want the teacher to run away. So it is very important first that you don't keep switching the jobs, because if you think that you want to grow in your career, just switching jobs because either you want to just keep on increasing your salaries is not going to get you to any point, because after a point you will get stagnated. If you are thinking कि मुझे एक profile में grow करना है, if I want to become from a teacher to a HOD to an HOD to a coordinator to something else, you have to remain consistent in a school for at least 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Only then you will see that responsibilities are being given to you. Neither a person who is just joined in may not get responsibilities of the school, especially somebody is joining at a teacher level. So you have to keep in mind that this question will come to you only if you are somebody who is changing job. That's why we've kept it in this category, that they are not commonly asked, but may come to you if you are somebody who's, having that. And then this is what you should keep in mind. I think this is also being spoken a lot about, that when you are talking, if there are a panel of people, you have to look at everybody. You can't just be not looking at everyone. Of course, sit upright, don't slouch. If you are doing namaste, तो namaste भी ठीक से होना चाहिए. और handshake hai to handshake. Depending on the culture of the organization, you will have to understand. If सामने वाला ने handshake के लिए किया है, then you have to ensure that you do the handshake. You can't be doing namaste. उसने हाथ आगे किया और आप नमस्ते कर रहे हो, वो बहुत अजीब लगेगा. So you make sure you have that. Good language, good pronunciations. You don't have to create unnecessary stories about things which you are not clear about. Try and carry a copy of your resume. Even if they have it, keep a copy of it so that it's always good. They may ask, okay, do you have an additional copy? No, I didn't get it. Okay, no, should always have it. Certificate copies also try and carry just in case they may ask you. Carry any material which may help you during the interview. So if, as I had said, if you have written about certain skills, have your photographs in place, have some material teaching it, bahut acha, you have made it. Carry that if it's not too bulky to show it. And yes, don't carry in a bag which is going to create a lot of noise. Carry in a cloth bag which is nice, which is the jute bags these days you get, or in a folder which is not noisy. Okay, and definitely you need to show a lot of confidence. Now, in case you have an opportunity where they tell you ask questions, do you have any questions? Please don't ask what are my work timings. Please don't ask what are my leaves, and please don't ask what is my workload. This you will get to know eventually. Yeah, so you do a research and come what are your work timings, because you can do that. You can find out. At least you will be able to know what are the timings of the students who are there. Connect with somebody as we had given previous tips, but don't ask these questions. Okay, they are management people, they are principals. You don't ask these questions. It is a question to be asked to the HR or to be asked to an admin who is coordinating you for work for this job. What can you ask? Okay, so these are some of the things. Let's say you have done some very great method in your previous organization. Say I have done this in my organization. Will I be permitted to do something in this organization? Okay, this is one thing you can ask. Or if you have taken certain, the school has done certain great work in past, like annual days बहुत grand होते हैं, या science exhibits होते हैं, या they have these international school award, or they organize an inter-school event every year. You found this out, in your research. Ask them, will I be able to take, some role or responsibility in that event? Will I be able to do that? You can ask that. Or if you have a school which has, certain things which they're teaching students, like robotics hai, coding hai, radio channels nowadays, that is also a trend, for English development, they have these radio channels. How can you, learn that and can contribute? Can I learn it? Can I learn coding? Can I do this? You can do that. Or you can ask this last question, which is definitely worthwhile. What are the growth opportunities that you give to a teacher who's there for you for a longer period of time? Okay, so that is what, then how, or what, so you'll automatically get, we train our teachers, we give opportunities. Certain, definitely international schools bhejte bhi hai kahi trainings pe, they may send you abroad. So that is what you can ask, but definitely not the first three things. Okay, in hand salary, how much I will get, that also you can't ask, not to the people from the management. This is something you can ask, but do ask something. Don't say I don't have questions. That is also a point where they are trying to see, do you have certain curiosity? And always pick up something the school has it and try that. Okay, can I be a part of something like this? Can I do something for the school? Showcase that you want to work for the school. That's about it. And yes, sometimes it may happen that everything has gone great. Your interview has gone great, your job, your demo is great, your interview is great, you've given 10 on 10 answers and everything else, but you still get rejected because some place there is a possibility that you have shown that you will not stay in that organization for a longer period of time. Okay, somewhere probably from the background they have got to know your husband is on a transferable job. Okay, they may not want you. You may say that, okay, my husband stays somewhere else, but I am here, and I am here for a period for some time, and I'm therefore looking for a job. I want to occupy myself, that's why I'm looking for a job. Okay, So you have to showcase, or your CV says too many job changes. Okay, your resume says too many jobs. So you have to make sure nowhere should you project that you are not going to be stable in that organization. Okay, even if my husband is working somewhere else, I am working somewhere else, I have decided to stay here because my son, I know my education of my son is going to be good here, or my daughter is going to be good here. So therefore, I am going to be staying here. My husband will keep traveling. It's okay. He keeps visiting us. All right. So this is also a reason where if you can't show stability, it is a problem. And these are few follow-up things which you can do. Of course, send a thank you message that, you have been called for the interview and all of that. And, we do say that if rejected, ask why you were rejected. But I think in India, nobody gives you an answer for that because everybody is so busy. But yes, of course, if you are planning to go abroad and apply somewhere, and if you get rejected, then definitely you can answer. And even if you know that you're not going to get an answer, send a message. Sometimes some principal or some HR may want to, have a pattern that if this is the kind of question they get, you get a response. So it's never, galat nahi hai ki aap wo pooch rahe ho. It's not wrong to ask. And of course, if you have got selected, send a confirmation. Yes, yeah, you are joining or you have accepted the job, and that thank them that you have getting selected. So that's very important. Even if you have got a phone call that congratulations, you've been selected, send an email that thank you, I accept this, and I want to take it forward. Please let me know what are my next steps. So then accordingly, you will start getting the connections, communication. And remember, the first thing, only 10% of the applicants get selected. And if you want to be in that 10%, practice, practice, and practice. That is the only mantra that you can have. All right. So if there are any questions, of course, there were a lot of questions which we've not answered. So I'll just read out those quickly. And if there are any more questions, if you have, please, put it up in the chat. So I think the 3 questions which ma'am had asked, we've answered through our presentation. At times for a particular topic, you have made certain teaching aid, but the coordinator, see, that is the feedback. It is your internal thing. Right now, we are talking about interview. This is something we don't have to speak at the time of the interview. That's a feedback you take and you improvise feedbacks. आपको कुछ अलग लगा, the observer seeing things something otherwise, just take the feedback and see if you can incorporate the feedback. Don't sit and argue. I think that's the most important thing. What if we have higher responsibilities and grades looking at your teaching skills, but they decrease your salary saying that you are not BEd? We can show that you are only, yeah, that some schools do. That they may not want to take a teacher who's non-BEd, but I think that is probably mostly with these national board schools where it is mandatory that, you have to have BEd. So then you might as well make sure you fulfill that criteria, because if that is the mandate of the school and that's how the school wants it, the BEd nahi to DEd kar lo. I know that, that 2 years that you have to remove, it is difficult. But I think if it is a mandate, or try and look for a place where it's not mandatory to have a BEd. I will say, do not give in to something which you will not be comfortable to. नहीं तो वो आपका regular crankiness, and then, you translating it to the students, you translating it to the parents, you translating it back home, translating into your own child if you have one, then it just becomes a very, very dirty for you mentally. And then I think it just avoid that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Because every school has a slab, all right? Like national and the national board, like CBSE and ICSE, it's not the school's call. It is like if you're not an experienced teacher, you come into the basic of a certain this. Then the experience, then is the freshers, then is the experienced teacher. So they have a basic salary, okay, and a DA. That's how they multiply it, and your salaries, you get your gross salary. The international school, it is at their discretion, okay. But see, if you have not done your BEd, and if I'm offering Richa a salary of 60,000, and if I'm giving Neelam around 55 or 57. Okay. So Richa is going to question me, right? That I'm a BA teacher. You're paying me 60 and you're paying Neelam also around approximately the same like mine. So that is how it is. So every school, they have basically planned their salary structure. So that's how it is.
We have
Yes,
one more question. What degrees are valued the most in international institution? So yeah, there is no value in terms of, yes, your basics, you have to have a degree and you have to have a B.Ed or any teaching qualification. Abhi to ye bhi chalu hua hai, ma'am. I just was researching bachelor's in elementary education. So that's also something which, for the primary, if you want to teach the primary grade, I think it is for them. So there is a bachelor's also and there's a diploma also. So but yes, your basics should be, if you have to teach your primary level, you should be a bachelor's in the subject. You want to start teaching the higher grades, the masters is a little more valued, because the concepts are of that kind that you need to have. And your B.Eds, definitely B.Ed, D.Ed, B.L.E.L. Ed, so that's bachelor's in elementary education. So yes, it's a little mandate in our country, and it should be. I will not say it should not be, because with countries like Finland, and where we talk that the education system is fantastic, there they are grilled or trained like doctors. Okay. And it is important because at the end, we are if we are teachers, the responsibility of developing the future of our country is in our hands. So I will not also want के एक जो सिर्फ 9 सीखिया हो वो आके मुझे क्लास में पढ़ाए, या अगर if you are in the most rural of the rural place and you don't have the teacher and you have the passion for teaching and you are doing that for the student, amazing. But eventually grow yourself, get those degrees, get that requirements, it will give you a better perspective. Okay, B.Eds ऐसे नहीं है कि एकदम ही फालतू है. Okay, I know that they may not match what the college and schools expectations are, but it gives you the structure, the lesson planning structure, the feedback लेने का जो है ना, कि मैं feedback कैसे लूं, वो B.Ed में 40 lesson में इतना feedback the teacher gives you 40 lessons that they have to do. You get used to that habit of getting feedback. In B.Eds, you get used to the habit of doing that hard work, making those lesson plans, writing word to word. Schools don't ask you to do that, but writing word to word will give you that, okay, the clarity of giving you lesson. That's why I will say B.Eds are important. Any teaching qualification is important. But with that, you may have to do something more, some skill-based things, or you may see a lot of people, lot of videos are available on the internet, how good teachers are teaching these days. Ab wo karo, workshops attend karo, where you get these teaching techniques pe kuch agar workshops hai. So there is a lot that can be done, for this particular thing. For this, I think there's a question, ma'am, Miss Anjuma. In any institute, you can suggest to get training for IGCSE IB, already having a B.Ed from a reputed Mumbai BTTC college, Mumbai. So, ma'am, is there any institute who's giving training for IGCSE IB schools?
See, when you join an IGCSE and an IB school, automatically there are a lot of workshops that are conducted by them. Okay, one is if you go on their website also, you can attend. That is, one is the face-to-face and the other one is online. So face-to-face is, like, for example, if your subject is English, so they have their entire schedule is there up on their website, and they have it in different cities. So there are schools who sponsor the traveling expense, and there are they go at their own cost. Now for international schools, B.Ed is not mandatory. Okay, but since our education system demands B.Ed, it is always better to do your B.Ed, because otherwise somewhere back of your mind you'll always have that job insecurity thing. So, but like you will see in international, but if you're doing your national and international, your B.Ed is mandatory. Now, where if you have not taken up a job and you want to do these courses, there are two ways. Either you take up a job in an international school and then do all these courses. You don't need to do all the courses. You just need to specialize in your subject.
Yeah.
And if you have not taken up a job and you want to do it, you can also do that. So you can go to cie.uk.org, if I'm not mistaken. You can
Now
just go
it's
on their
changed
website.
to cambridgeinternational.org. So there
Okay.
you will get all the
Yeah,
details. Yeah.
details.
And then in
Yeah.
Mumbai, there are some institutes also who are doing. So like Podar is there, MET is there.
Yeah.
They do these diploma programs. So you can go and, find out there.
But then that's not a prerequisite to get into the
For
schools.
PYP, MYP, of course, there is
Yeah,
the
IB.
websites of these international schools, they themselves run a lot of programs. So I
Right.
would ideally say that go there and do it because you will get training from the experts. And I always say do the face to face. Okay. वो जो
Yeah.
ऑनलाइन वाला है ना, मैंने एक टीचर ने मेरे स्कूल में किया था. It was just very utter, there is once a week, you just get a feedback from the mentor. I think it's no value. You just have to teach us to just keep reading, no value. Rather go, it is a little expensive because that one training is like 12,000, 15,000, but it is worthwhile to learn from a Firang. Okay, I am saying really because they come up with the best of the creative things. Even for me, मुझे वो फिरंग का अगर वो from those Cambridge and Ivy मिले, I may want to attend because मुझे पता है मुझे 5 चीज तो नई सीखने मिलने ही वाली है वहां से. Because they probably are even doing a lot of travel also across the world, learning the best practices. So, to get those things is really very helpful. Okay. So yes, you can do MYP, PYP, IBK, IBO.org pe jaiye. You have the, trainings ka part where you can find out what trainings are happening. And there are a lot of training. Abhi India mein to bahut, across the country, you have trainings happening. And now they have come back to the face-to-face trainings because the pandemic is gone. Both of these organizations, Cambridge and IB, both have started their trainings. And yeah, IB में थोड़ा है कि lot of good IB schools don't take a teacher if you're not worked in a previous IB organization. वो है अभी वो school के prerequisites है तो you can't, but you can always try with schools which are not so rigid. Go there, gain your experience, work there, grow a little, then probably you want to shift to another school. So that is also something which you can. So I think there are a great.
Sonam ma'am, can I just ask a question?
Who's this who's talking? I don't know.
I'm Abida here.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. I had attended your demo one also. It was really helpful and it really helped me also. I was given a 10 minutes slot for a demo and then I was scheduled for an interview.
Right.
But somehow, that 10 minutes was, very short. Maybe I was able to give only for 2 to 3 minutes. So in that case, because I had made a lesson plan, but I was not able to pull it out because I felt that, okay, they are in a hurry or they want to finish it fast. So in that case, how do I,
Did you check
tell them that, okay,
did you check on before how much time are going to be given?
no, they had told us 10 minutes.
Okay. So when you know you are going to get 10 minutes, that 10 minutes is what आपको मिलने वाला है सब कुछ बताने के लिए. So at that time, you have to think of that the most wowest of the wowest thing that you can do to impress those people. Okay?
Yeah, but then
Consider कि
at
मुझे
that
पूरा
moment,
lesson करने मिलने ही नहीं वाला है. Tell them, okay, I just have 10 minutes. I'm just going to be concentrating on doing one activity which will achieve this particular object.
no, that I understood. But that 10 minutes was cut down into maybe 3 to 4 minutes at the last moment.
Right.
Then
Okay.
what should we do?
Then
Because when I went on the most important activity or the concept, then they were like, okay, you will directly go on that part, or how will you? I was like, no, everything is been planned. Then I had to explain them verbally.
it's
But is
okay.
that right?
It's
Is
okay.
that right?
Yes. I have always said
Okay.
that time, please carry your lesson plan. Even if they have 2
Yes.
minutes, they can at least read the lesson plan. Carry your lesson plan in your demo. Showcase them. अगर आप करने भी नहीं पाए तो वो lesson plan से तो देख सकते हैं आप कैसे पढ़ा सकते हो. But I think it
Right.
very rarely happens. So 2 minutes में you can't. Nobody can judge your teaching ability.
Yes. But
Can I
somehow,
add here?
hardly I got.
Manju
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
See, when, here also they're trying to trick you.
Yeah.
How are you handling it? So you don't have to explain it. What you should have done is, you must say is that, as we have already learned, okay, so get into the recap mode and then continue in that 2 minutes, probably the conclusive part of your teaching.
Right.
Okay.
Got it? as we have already learned, as you already know, or as I've already that know, as we have already learned about kinetic energy, okay, and we are all aware of it. So now I'm just coming, we just do the conclusive part of it is, and then just end it 3 minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
Or
That's a
lesson
good way.
plans or something which you can always carry, show them,
Yes,
they-
I had carried, but that time it didn't struck me to show them the
Yeah,
lesson
that
plan. So
happens.
just
no,
That
but
I,
that
happens.
is
yes,
what you
so
should
I,
remember. When you
yes,
enter the class, pehla lesson plan nikalo or do. That if you remember, then you will never forget. That is a practice
yes,
even as a teacher you should do. If you have an observer, first things वो ऐसे वो निकालते ना तलवार में वो क्या बोलते हैं you remove your sword वैसे first thing as a teacher lesson plan should be out.
it's true. No,
And
I
what
kept
more
the lesson plan on my table, but I didn't give them. So that was
I,
that kind of.
see,
Thank
this
you.
was a knack. Basically, they were trying, to see how
Yeah.
you're handling the situation. जैसे हमने वो question किया था कि अगर आप सारे teaching aids भूल गए हो, and
Right.
you're stuck. And so it's the same thing. So what you could have done is that, keeping in view the time, like probably bell बज गई, ऐसे behave कर सकते थे आप. Keeping in view the time, we will continue this in the next class. So आपको वो 3
Okay.
minutes को कैसे करना था कि previously learned, तो उसमें आपका half of your lesson अभी क्या हो गया? You went with a mindset कि I have to do the set induction, then I will do the teaching, and then I'll do the
Right.
recap, and then I'll conclude. This was in your mind,
Right.
right? But now the thing changed there. You thought you will go like this. So now you didn't know how to handle it. So then you should say is that as we've already learned, उसमें से आप अपना recap पे आ जाते, okay? Got my point? And then you say that
Right,
keeping
right.
in view the time, we will continue this in our next class. वैसे end करना था.
Okay.
So
Thank you so
one
much.
last thing.
Welcome.
Okay, so this is again for everybody. I'm going to put up the link in the WhatsApp group. So we are giving you an opportunity to, have a mock interview with us. So this is the link to the form, which I'll also put it up in the chat. And, you can fill up the forms and the details, by the 20th of Jan. Just give me a moment. I will put up the link in the chat. And I'll also be putting it up in the, group that we have for the workshop. So if you are interested, and of course, there are certain questions that we've asked you. There are certain things that we've asked you to do there. Please complete it completely. And yes, we will select few of you to definitely, come on board. We will mutually discuss a date and time where we can have a mock round with you, just to give you an understanding that this is how we can prepare you for an interview. All right. So thank you all very much. And I think we have got great feedback already in the chat. So I'll just read out some of them. Thank you. Aditi has given. Thank you, Sonam and Manju ma'am. Really helpful. Learned a lot. Very helpful. Looking forward. All right. And then we have Jyoti ma'am saying, thank you very much, Sonam ma'am, Manju ma'am, for the wonderful session. Learned a lot of things and all of the common errors and everything. Then we have Archana ma'am, Sonam ma'am, Anju ma'am, such a wonderful session. Hi Archana, Suri ma'am, how are you? I know her, that's why I'm saying that. She was working with me in my last organization. A big thank you to Up Educators. Thank you, Archana Mathur ma'am. I think we've connected since the very first session I took in this. So thank you so much, everybody, for a lovely feedback. I'm not planning to join the mock interview. Try and okay, you can join. We will, shortlist you according to how you've completed your forms and everything. There are a lot of questions we have also asked you. Okay, so thank you so much, Manju ma'am. I thank you on
so
behalf
much,
of
Simran.
our
Thank you.
educators for having such a big session. We extended an hour more, but I think
I know.
a lot of people benefited it. And next time, that's my learning. How do I concise and finish this in 1.5 hour session? Because we are coming up with this series of paid workshops for people who are not going to be up educator people. Of course, they can definitely attend if they want to, but we are coming up with this placement program from up educators that we are going to do it for some 600 rupees or something, 590, I think, or 600, where we are going to do these 3 things. Apart from that, we're going to do some more additional things. So I have to ensure now that I finish this in 1.5 hour session, because there I can't extend. I can definitely not extend. Here we were very, very much in this, that we give maximum to the participants who have joined in. So thank you and everybody. And yes, any questions, anything you have the WhatsApp group, which is open. That is where you can, put in your queries. I think y'all cannot ask your queries. Okay, so y'all have my number on that WhatsApp group. So, y'all can message me in case you have anything. And yes, if you want your interviews to happen with us, you can send us the request on that message. I am going to put the same in 2 minutes in the chat of our WhatsApp group, so that y'all can all start thinking that whether you want to get your interviews done. So we'll try and get some more people on board, so that, the panel looks big, because it should intimidate you also, because yes, that's probably what happens in the real scenario as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone. And thank you very much. And thank you, Manju ma'am. And
Thanks.
see you soon with our next workshops, maybe some other topic. Definitely now employability is done. So something else, we'll definitely are planning a lot of things with Up Educator, so we can give maximum to the students who've always been with us. So thank you, and have a
Thanks a
good
lot.
day and a good festival. Happy Makar Sankranti to everybody from our side.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone, and have a good day.
Have a great weekend and all the very best to all of you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Manju ma'am, I'll give you a call in some time. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Bye-bye.